like to say that there was no decision that we made that didn't impact the energy budget. So if we pushed over here, we had to pull from there so that ultimately we could deliver this net positive building.
One of the things that's most challenging is the water pedal in trying to get the harvesting of rainwater certified or permitted. But that process has been a challenge, obviously, for everybody because we're doing something new. The EPD folks, they brought their staff into the building for the start of that testing period, and they were as enthusiastic as we were. So they felt like they learned a lot in the process as well as we did.
This project was slated to be the first regenerative building, the first living building in the Southeast. And now that we're here, this project is going to serve as an example and a great precedent for all future projects to come. We can point to this building and show other clients, other institutions that this is possible.
I think an idea that doesn't get as much credit because it's hard to quantify when you're designing buildings like this or you're designing any kind of building is how important that connection to nature really is. This building, I think it really celebrates that aspect of building design. And so hopefully other people will look at that and see the value of those kinds of spaces.
The big thing that I'm taking away from this project that's really important is that I can't unlearn what I've learned, right? So now every time I go and I look at other buildings, this whole process runs through my head as I start to think about what other buildings are doing and how we can start to impact as many other buildings as we can to start to perform so much better, and being inspired by the Kendeda building to get us there.
It really is a living, breathing building, and we just don't do that every single day. I mean, a lot of things we do are automated and they're on timers and for other buildings. But this building actually thinks for itself and reacts to the environment.
I'm JD Usfrey. I'm the Assistant Controller here at Sweetwater.
I'm George Matthews. I'm the Packaging Manager here at Sweetwater.
When I moved to Atlanta in 2002 to go to Tech is when I was actually introduced to Sweetwater. And I would say that's when my love of beer started. I'd never had a beer like that, and craft beer is something totally new and different for me.
Sweetwater is probably some of the first craft beer I drank. I just enjoyed the variation you get in craft beer. The flavors are, that's something that's unique to American craft. Luckily, craft beer in Georgia kind of continues to hit that trend pretty well.
Georgia Tech teaches you not to get comfortable, and here you can't get comfortable. And it's not just Sweetwater. I would say that's probably the craft industry as a whole. It's ever changing and evolving.
Keeping the equipment running is my #1 priority, making sure that all the beer gets packaged. On a daily basis, we'll run 10 to 15,000 cases of bottles or cans. And with our keg load, that can be up to 1,500 kegs or so.
The thing I love about Tech is just, it's where I grew up, I feel like. I came from a small town in Georgia, and just moving to Atlanta and going to Tech really, I feel like, made me who I am.
Georgia Tech focuses, at least from my experience, heavily on concepts and being able to apply them in whatever situation you're in. And so I've found that that's been the most helpful aspect of my education, was having a good foundation and being able to take that and apply it to whatever situation I find myself in the real world.
Becoming an astronaut is something I have trouble explaining to people why sometimes, because it feels so innate. Getting a PhD, I think, would really be, I guess, inspiring for the next generation, just because I don't see many people look like me who have PhDs. And I think that, it'd be a great thing to show other young girls who are interested in STEM that, the sky's not even the limit. I am a first-year PhD student here in the area.
From inner space to cyberspace to outer space. If we can do all of this, just imagine what we're doing in our own backyard.
I never thought that I would be here today enjoying a project of this sort, of this type. As an alumni, that probably means the most, that we're the first to build a building of this type on my campus.
This project is critical at Georgia Tech because it's a building that represents the hub of sustainable activities on campus. And so for me, it's an amazing place to engage with students and faculty and staff who are interested in this topic, interested in learning more, and really seeing a home in the actions that we took throughout this building process.
Because we're trying to go for net positive energy, you really had to plant that flag and say, we're going to do this, and we had to adjust all of our thinking to meet that energy budget, just like you try to meet a construction budget. We like to say that there was no decision that we made that didn't impact the energy budget. And so if we pushed over here, we had to pull from there so that ultimately we could deliver this net positive building.
One of the things that's most challenging is the water pedal in trying to get the harvesting of rainwater certified or permitted. But that process has been a challenge, obviously, for everybody because we're doing something new. The EPD folks, they brought their staff into the building for the start of that testing period, and they were as enthusiastic as we were. So they felt like they learned a lot in the process as well as we did.
This project was slated to be the first regenerative building, the first living building in the Southeast. And now that we're here, this project is going to serve as an example and a great precedent for all future projects to come. We can point to this building and show other clients, other institutions that this is possible.
I think an idea that doesn't get as much credit because it's hard to quantify when you're designing buildings like this or you're designing any kind of building is how important that connection to nature really is. This building, I think it really celebrates that aspect of building design. And so hopefully other people will look at that and see the value of those kinds of spaces.
The big thing that I'm taking away from this project that's really important is that I can't unlearn what I've learned, right? So now every time I go and I look at other buildings, this whole process runs through my head as I start to think about what other buildings are doing and how we can start to impact as many other buildings as we can to start to perform so much better, and being inspired by the Kendeda building to get us there.
It really is a living, breathing building, and we just don't do that every single day. I mean, a lot of things we do are automated and they're on timers and for other buildings. But this building actually thinks for itself and reacts to the environment.
JD Usry. I'm the assistant controller here at Sweetwater.
I'm George Matthews. I'm the packaging manager here at Sweetwater.
When I moved to Atlanta in 2002 to go to Tech is when I was actually introduced to Sweetwater. And I would say that's when my love of beer started. I'd never had a beer like that, and craft beer is something totally new and different for me.
Sweetwater is probably some of the first craft beer I drank. I just enjoyed the variation you get in craft beer. The flavors are, that's something that's unique to American craft. Luckily, craft beer in Georgia kind of continues to hit that trend pretty well. Georgia Tech teaches you not to get comfortable, and here you can't get comfortable. And it's not just Sweetwater. I would say that's probably the craft industry as a whole. It's ever changing and evolving. Keeping the equipment running is my #1 priority, making sure that all the beer gets packaged. On a daily basis, we'll run 10 to 15,000 cases of bottles or cans. And with our keg load that can be up to 1,500 kegs or so. The thing I love about Tech is just, it's where I grew up, I feel like. I came from a small town in Georgia, and just moving to Atlanta and going to Tech really, I feel like, made me who I am. Georgia Tech focuses, at least from my experience, heavily on concepts and being able to apply them in whatever situation you're in. And so I've found that that's been the most helpful aspect of my education, was having a good foundation and being able to take that and apply it to whatever situation I find myself in the real world.
Becoming an astronaut is something I have trouble explaining to people why sometimes, because it feels so innate. Getting a PhD, I think, would really be, I guess, inspiring for the next generation, just because I don't see many people look like me who have PhDs. And I think that, it'd be a great thing to show other young girls who are interested in STEM that, the sky's not even the limit. I'm a first-year PhD student here in the Aerospace Engineering Department, and I work in the high-power electric propulsion lab. My goal is to utilize and optimize electric propulsion so that it could be used for a variety of applications, and the one most important to me is for deep space exploration. Georgia Tech has been absolutely challenging in different ways, but the way I can already feel myself growing is pretty incredible, and I'm really happy that I'm here. So my freshman year, I was just super into getting an internship. I applied to more than 50 different applications for NASA on USA Jobs. So the NASA Pathways program is an opportunity for students to become federal civil servants and swear in like a true NASA employee. If they complete the program, they're pretty much guaranteed a job in the federal government through NASA. And so far I've worked in electric propulsion and systems engineering. I think that's one of the best privileges, actually, to work with NASA and be a student, because I get to take a class and then go work there and get to see the stuff that I'm learning in class pretty much in real life. Motivating the next generation is more important. It's paramount in what I do, because I'm not pursuing this career and pursuing space exploration just for myself. The goal is to continue to help evolve humanity, and that's going to require passing down knowledge, getting people inspired, as they're brought up through each generation, so they can continue the legacy. It's my #1 goal, to inspire others, and I hope that I'm accomplishing that.
If you want to change the world, you're at Georgia Tech. You can do that.
I want you to learn to embrace failure. You just got to learn to brush it off and bounce back. And an ounce of that amounts to a comeback.
It is in places like this, like Georgia Tech, with extraordinary talent and a strong mission of public service, that we will find our best path forward. Progress and service, that's what it's all about.
Shimon has been reborn as a singer-songwriter, and now we collaborate between humans and robots to make songs together. I can give it a theme, he can write the lyrics, he can suggest melodies for me, I can compose the melodies into a song, and then together with a bunch of other humans we can perform it while he's singing. We are training the robot using machine learning over data sets of lyrics, and it happens to be that these data sets are based on genre. And then whatever the lyrics are from this genre, it learns the correlation and the features and the connections between the lyrics and come up based on prime words. I give it a prime word, for example, space and time. It will go into the data set and generate new lyrics, sometimes just by itself, sometimes it fits to my melody, all kinds of different combinations.
So we use deep learning to generate lyrics, but it's also combined with like semantic knowledge. So in a way, Shimon will know like the word storm is also related to rain, and then so he'll generate more based on rain. And then he'll also generate things related to rain, like maybe sunshine will come back. So that was kind of part of the whole lyric system, is making these interconnected ideas between all that. So I play bass with him. I actually mainly play saxophone, but for these songs I've been playing bass with him. It's really cool. It's really great just interacting. It really just feels like another musician on stage. It's like another person up there. There's all kind of lots of dialogue between me and him. Also, when you work with the robot every day, it becomes like working with a person. And there's ups and downs in the relationship too. Some days it's like, that's so annoying, that guy. And other days it's like, it's the best thing ever to work with. It's super great collaboration.
This new playing striking system that can make Shimon to play much faster, about 25 to 30 hertz per second at the maximum. And also a much more expressive playing from a soft dynamic range to a strong dynamic range. And also it can do visual gestures, some visual cues to the other players as interactions.
Shimon has eyebrows now. Right now they have 1 degree of freedom, so they either both move up or they both move down. And that has been a lot of just kind of manually placing it where we think it would be cute for him to kind of give a little like upwards movement. I started out with trying to synchronize Shimon's mouth to the lyrics, which was a bit of a challenge. We have different poses of the mouth for different sounds of a word. So for example, for like an ah sound, his mouth will be wide. For a T, it'll be more close together. And we have different ones assigned to different vowel and consonant sounds. And then we linearly interpolate that over time so that it kind of gets a smooth transition, so it's not just kind of robotically moving up and down.
A big part of what we're trying to do is to bring it on the road, to take the research and bring it to the people. And we are going to release a record and some videos, and we hope to start schedule shows. So for many years I felt that people come and enjoy it partly because it's kind of a gimmick. A robot that plays, that's cool, and it looks at you and it bobs its head. So definitely I still want all of this experience, hey, it's just like a human and it's interesting, but I think we reached a level where I actually expect the audience to just be blown by the music. I like the music. This is music that humans by themselves wouldn't have written, and there's something unique about this song, and I want to go back and listen to it even if I don't look at the robot. We may not be there yet, but if you ask me what is my dream, that would be it.
You know, with like Tinder or eHarmony, those other platforms, you have all these choices. And sometimes that makes it really hard to choose. I'm an indecisive person. If you give me 100 people, like how am I gonna choose? I feel like when you narrow it down to one person, it makes it a little bit easier because we've done all the choosing for you and we've decided for you what you need.
You know, you're putting yourself out there on all these dating apps. Whereas here, all you do is fill out a Google form, and it's kind of pseudo-anonymous. You could put down your social media handle if you wanted to, or you could wait and see who your match is first.
So the first maybe like 5 or 6 questions are demographic. So we look at things like gender, sexual orientation, college major. The rest of it is just kind of looking at students' values. So, you know, activities that they enjoy, beliefs that they hold, just kind of like some personality traits.
We take your respondents and then generate like a ranking of all the other people. And then from there, we just try to match you with the highest person on that list. I mean, looking back at like some of the matches now, you know, some people, like the people I know, were matched with people they would never talk to. Because, you know, in any college, you kind of get into your little subgroup of, you know, your college, your people who you end up taking classes with, and you really only get to know them. But like, there's tons of people here.
I think we like posted our survey on Reddit and a lot of people commented like, this is so Georgia Tech, or like, yeah, of course, like a CS major would do this. I think it fits our school in a way because, you know, people they're interested in the whole dating aspect because it is a little bit harder to date here. But they're also interested in the tech perspective. So when I've mentioned this to people, they've been like, yeah, like, but how do you do that? Like, I want to enter that, but I also want to know, you know, what your algorithm is that you're using.
So the barrel room is going to keep coming all the way out to here. And then this is our production space. It's going to be pretty small. It's like 826 square feet. When I was going to Georgia Tech, I started brewing beer. I was really interested in it and the actual how it was made. So like I would study, you know, a lot at Tech, and then as an outlet, I would brew beer. Basically became a huge passion of mine. It's just like a huge engineering problem, actually. I started getting into doing control systems for my homebrew system, then like getting into like water chemistry behind beer and biology. Basically a blend of all these fields that you can focus on any which one you want, or all of them. As an engineer, that's like kind of a fun problem to solve. Since we opened in July, the neighborhood's been amazing. We've had a lot of support. I think we're doing way better than we ever expected. We see a lot of foot traffic. People seem to really like beer, and they seem to like Summerhill quite a bit. It's just a beautiful neighborhood, and it's just so great to see it flourish. We really want our customers to come in here so we can tell the story of the beer and have that experience, whereas you don't really get that when you take it home. We had a bunch of friends from Georgia Tech kind of help us with like bouncing ideas off of them to hone in our vision and try to also integrate a lot of the tech components in the front, like the TV wall and our menus that look like Linux terminals. So it's been great. My partner Joran and I have been brewing for a long time, so we kind of bring both of our ideas together. We basically try to meld bars from around Joran's hometown and bring it here to Atlanta to have this like European vibe. In the next 5 years, we'd like to start integrating more local ingredients into our beers to give it kind of a sense of place, to where like when you drink a beer here, it's like I'm drinking a beer that's from, you know, Georgia.
Georgia Tech recognized 4 men whose courage and dedication changed the landscape of campus. Ralph A. Long Jr., Lawrence Williams, Ford C. Green, and Ronald Yancey were honored with the dedication of the 3 pioneers and the first graduate statue in Harrison Square. The events on campus began with the 11th Annual Diversity Symposium at the Global Learning Center. Long, Williams, and Green discussed their experiences as Tech's first African-American students, and Yancey spoke about his journey to become the first African-American Yellow Jacket to earn a degree. In the afternoon, the bronze statues were unveiled on East Campus.
It was just a struggle just to get to school, go through it every day, every week, and try to just be a student. And it was very difficult back in those days. I didn't have study partners. I lived in another part of town where nobody but me was matriculating at Georgia Tech. So the libraries near me were useless really. So all my resources were here on campus. But I actually had to let somebody know when I could be here. I couldn't just come on campus anytime.
We thought it was important, given the national context and the climate around issues of race and inclusion in our country, we thought it was important for Georgia Tech to take stock as to where we are with the progress that we've been making on racial diversity for the last 58 years. We thought by bringing the original players back from 1961 to help us understand the Georgia Tech of that era, it could better help us understand the progress that we've actually made. And then we would use that conversation to inform futuristically, what are the things that we can do better?
ASU, as kind of the voice for the Black students at Tech, we kind of owe where we are today and our stance and our progress to these pioneers. We currently have a framed copy of the picture of 3 of the pioneers sitting in our office as kind of a constant reminder of the standard they set, the struggles they went through, and making sure we never take our place at Tech and kind of in the South in general for granted, and that we make sure we always pay homage to these pioneers that kind of paved the way for us.
The 3 pioneer statues are permanently settled in Harrison Square, and the first graduate statue will be installed in the G. Wayne Clough Undergraduate Learning Commons. Learn more about these trailblazing Yellow Jackets at news.godtech.edu.
My mom one day just decided that she was going to apply to the lottery system in Nigeria. And what that means is that if a family wins the lottery, they're actually given visas to move to the United States. So she had just done it out of whim and they ended up winning. So when I was around 5 years old, we all moved to Chicago and we started a new life there. I was speaking with my teacher at the time and she was telling me that maybe you should consider engineering. So we had done some research together and I think it was #1 and 2 schools that came up were Georgia Tech and MIT. So I applied to both of them and I got into Tech. So I ended up coming here. These past 4 years have been actually phenomenal. So I worked with Dr. Corey Wilson and I worked in his lab for about 2.5 years where we got to work on protein engineering. It was nice to actually see things that I read about in class, in my biotech classes, actually be done in real life. So that was really interesting. I've had some really phenomenal professors at Georgia Tech and they've just made my learning experience unbelievable. I would definitely say the Georgia Tech name goes a long way.
There are 100,000 living alumni that are Georgia Tech graduates.
Okay, wow.
But how we got to that number will be with you crossing the stage.
Really? I'm the 100,000th person?
Olewafumi Esther Adeyemo.
You are the 100,000th living Georgia Tech engineering alumnus.
Wow, whoa, that's exciting. that's very crazy. I would say despite all the rigor and like everything that I got out of my education, it's something that I'm really proud of, that I was able to stay here and I was able to make it through all 4. Each and every single graduate is going to go on and do incredible things in this world because not only are they just so intelligent and really personable, but you have people who actually care about each other and they care about the work that they do. So I think that's just something really incredible. It's not something you see everywhere you go.
You know, in architecture school at Tech, there's all kinds of crazy ideas coming out of there, so it wasn't the craziest idea. Through this beautiful grassroots movement of people, not only did it become possible, but the idea itself expanded beyond what we imagined in the beginning. So my thesis is sort of the kernel of the idea, but it's much bigger and better and bolder than that. So it's amazing to see people sort of living their life on it. That's what's truly amazing. I mean, this was made possible by literally hundreds of thousands of people. I see my role in that, and I'm proud of that role for sure. But also a real sense of obligation to live up to the promise of it. You know, we're still what I think of as the early stages of building it. We got a long way to go to actually deliver on that promise. And so we created a nonprofit called Generator. It's about generating ideas about the future of cities. You know, when you look ahead at all the change that's coming, we need the sort of young visionaries of that change to define what kind of change they want and who they want it to be for. But because it's tough to raise money when you're doing stuff that's new, Generator will cohabitate with a restaurant called Aftercar. The restaurant will ultimately fund the nonprofit so that people come, spend their money, and get something out of it, but we also benefit by funding the operations of the nonprofit. The most important outcome of the Beltline that's already evident is that it's changing the way that we think about the city. It's changing what our expectations are for Atlanta.
30 years ago, it was truly visionary for people to decide somehow to have a Georgia Tech campus in Europe. And today that campus is a reality, and it's widely recognized as success stories.
They had this crazy idea in 1990, which was, let's create an antenna of Georgia Tech in math.
It has really become an example of global engagement and all the value that is created when universities establish centers and strong relationships in other countries.
So we are working on the same model that Georgia Tech, Atlanta, so we created an ecosystem between these three pillars, the same that what we have here in Atlanta, and now we have this interaction between the two continents, Europe and the United States. So it's really unique in terms of model.
We are like a small Georgia Tech campus in the middle of Europe.
Georgia Tech Lorraine offers 3 main activities. You can have a great diploma here, you can do high-level research, and then you can start your career in Georgia Tech. So it's the place to be, I think.
When I come into work every day, there's so many possibilities. If we imagine something, then we can do it. We're really not held back in terms of resources. We have everything we need here to do anything.
We have also, through Lafayette, contracts and partnership with startups, with middle-sized companies, and also big companies all over the world.
Our corporate partnerships are nurtured every day by the alumni that work in those corporations. The prestige level of Georgia Tech continues to grow.
These last 30 years have been only the warm-up. We're going to see Georgia Tech Lorraine to grow, not just in the number of students that it serves, but also as a center of research and collaboration between scientists of Europe and the United States.
You will not get this experience anywhere else. You don't get the ability to take your classes in English while also staying in a foreign country where they speak a whole other language.
It's unparalleled in terms of being able to study abroad and still take major classes that are really helping towards graduation because it is a Georgia Tech campus with Georgia Tech professors.
We've demonstrated that we can be successful. Now it's time to scale them in a way that we have a scale on our campus here in Atlanta. So the future is really bright for Georgia Tech Lorraine.
One of the things that I have the most pride in, undergraduate students who come back to Atlanta and stop me on campus and say, "Sir, I want to tell you, this has really changed my life. I know where I'm going. I know what I want to do now. I get it."
Georgia Tech Lorraine is a great adventure. University Georgia Tech had the guts to create something like this, and I can only encourage Georgia Tech to continue nurturing this little adventure here in France.
Susan, we started the same day.
Same
It's
day.
been, I think, 5.5 months.
Yes.
Hey, and we're still here.
We're still here. Yeah, it was days, weeks, and now months we're into. So we're going to have an anniversary celebration.
We definitely need to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about your first few months and what your thoughts are. What have you found both in the College of Science but also at Georgia Tech?
Well, I think my second day on the job, your second day on the job, I think was one of my best days, which is a great way to start because that was when we had the Diversity Symposium. It was awesome to have the unveiling of the Trailblazers statue, and I feel as though by my second day I had really gained an appreciation for the deep history of Georgia Tech.
It's interesting because if I had to choose my own highlights, I would also choose that second day on the job. I agree with you to hear the personal stories of the first Black students at Georgia Tech and to realize that we are so close generationally from a time where women were not admitted into tech, where people of color were not admitted into tech, to hear what life was like. But also to somehow rejoice in the progress that has been made and reflect on what else remains to be done.
But that's why I've always really been interested and mentoring programs for women. And now one of the reasons I came to Tech is because I'm really interested in focusing now on the recruitment and retention of underrepresented minorities.
I'm also interested in bringing disciplines together, diversity of disciplines. And one of the things that is very intriguing to me because my own career has also been multidisciplinary, but I've seen how you start as a chemist, and then really when I look at your work to understand the structure and the function of our oceans, you need to bring in math to build models. You need to understand physics and chemistry and the role of biology. And somehow you have managed to create your own training, but it's not always easy, right?
It's not always easy, and it's not always a linear path. So I got my undergraduate degree in chemical engineering. And when I was in graduate school in chemical engineering, I was studying fluid flow through a pipe. And studying fluid flow through a pipe means you're studying what's called fluid dynamics, and it is math and physics, and depending on what's in the pipe, it involves chemistry. But when I was out in Seattle, I discovered that instead of studying flow through a pipe, I could study flow in the ocean.
One of the ideas that has been really very strong from the beginning is this notion that a place like Georgia Tech ought to really strive to solve some of the most complex problems that we deal with.
When we talk about facing the 21st century challenges, in particular, the challenges with climate change, I always say it's an all hands on deck problem. And I think a place like Georgia Tech, we really have many of the elements, that are needed for us to think, carefully and creatively about how we can start providing some of the solutions. What's been in these 5.5 months, any surprises for you?
Honestly, every week I have a surprise at Georgia Tech. Every week I find a new project, a new initiative that really blows me away. This building where we're taking this is one of them.
It's a symbol, I think, for us moving into the 21st century and our concerns about the environment and the energy.
Yeah. I think in a way, everything we do on a campus, we need to try to think of not just, we need a building to teach classes. How do you make that building an example of something bigger so that everybody who uses that facility can be thinking of the world differently?
But I think this is what we can think about in our strategic plan as well, right? Because if we call out that we want to use technology for the social good and to meet the challenges, then we model it here on the campus.
Well, it's been fabulous to get to work with you and get to know you over the last 5 months and 14 days.
Something like that.
And really look forward to many more.
Same here. And we'll keep that 1-year anniversary. We'll have a celebration.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Nice
Thank
to
you,
talk to
Susan.
you.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Georgia Tech's first ever virtual graduation celebration. My name is Bryce Zimmerman. I'm a part of Georgia Tech's social media team in the Institute Communications Department, and we are live on campus with a very skeleton crew practicing our social distancing, but making sure that we can try and bring you the best possible virtual graduation celebration that we can under the circumstances. Over the next hour and a half, we're going to bring you congratulatory messages from deans, faculty, alumni, and many, many others. We're also going to hear from you, the students who are experiencing this atypical graduation. We've got interviews lined up, but we also like for you to interact with the broadcast by commenting on our live stream on Facebook. So you can be watching right now on commencement.godtech.edu. You could also be watching on our YouTube channel, but where we're going to get the most engagement from you is on Facebook. And if you can see right there on our share screen, I'm going to intro in now Stephen Norris, who is running behind the scenes today. He's our social media director. He's also the technical director for this broadcast. And Stephen, you were just bringing up what that page looked like, but we're very excited today. It's not what we hoped this commencement would be, but yet here we are, and we want to celebrate with the class of 2020. So we are going to have lots of interviews with students. We're going to have messages from deans, alumni, faculty, and we want you to be a part of the process by sharing our hashtag. So on any of those social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, use the hashtag GT20, the hashtag Ramblin' On, or the hashtag Swarm Strength, and we will be able to see some of those comments as they roll through. Today we are celebrating over 3,800 degrees being conferred to PhD, master's, and undergraduate students. And of course, we're going to start today's entertainment with Georgia Tech President Angel Cabrera. He was out scouring the campus to find the perfect place to deliver his graduation speech. It was an empty campus, but he was able to do so and find that spot. Let's take a look.
Hello. Ni hao. Annyeong. Bonjour. Guten Tag. Merhaban. Merhaba. Bom dia. Buenos dias. My name is Angel Cabrera, and I am president of Georgia Tech. Greetings to the graduating class of 2020, to your family and friends from an empty McCamish Pavilion. I've been thinking about where I should deliver my speech to congratulate our new graduates. I first thought I would do it here where commencement should have taken place. Then I quickly changed my mind. Too eerie, too sad, no need to remind everyone of what we're missing. I thought about the Tech Tower, Bobby Dodd Stadium, the Campanile, the roof of Crossland Tower, the Candida Building. Maybe I should just do it from home where I've been working for the last 6 weeks, or maybe from my office at Carnegie. Then I changed my mind. I thought it would be a mistake to try to erase the last couple of months from our memories. It would be an unforgivable waste, really. These are not times to forget, but to remember. It may sound crazy today, but I know one day it won't. Here's my message to you, to all of us. Let's seize the moment. Let's own it. Let's cherish it. And what better place for that than the center of McCamish Pavilion, the very spot where hundreds of students should be walking today and joining the ranks of generations of proud Yellow Jackets. See, the generation of your great-grandparents was shaped by the Great Depression and by World War II. My grandparents' generation was shaped by the Spanish Civil War. Your grandparents were shaped by the Civil Rights Movement and by the Vietnam War. Mine by 9/11. These experiences marked us. They defined our fears and our desires. They helped set the price that we were willing to pay for the freedom and the way of life that we enjoy. I have no doubt that the experience of the last few months, the global fight against this lethal and highly contagious virus, will shape your lives. And the fact that it caught you while you were in college at a time of personal growth and exploration will make the effect of this crisis even more lasting. Well, as the old adage goes, don't let a good crisis go to waste. Don't let this just be an annoying couple of months you had to spend in confinement, a time you would rather forget. Let's all make sure that when we look back, we don't just remember a scary crisis that we survived, but a challenge that we faced together, that taught us profound lessons, that made us stronger. I hope COVID-19 teaches us about happiness, about service to others, about family, about love and friendship, about progress and success. That happiness is hugging a grandparent, a child, a friend. It is sharing a meal. It is being able to laugh and cry with people who you love. It is a walk in the park. It is a clean blue sky on a sunny day. A conversation with your neighbor, a conversation with a stranger. I hope we have learned that we're all in this together, that everyone matters. The nurse, the custodian, the grocery store cashier, the farmer, the truck driver, the Waffle House waiter, that our lives, our destinies are interconnected, that we're all brothers and sisters, that we are one world, that we are the world. That science is about asking tough and consequential questions. That science must speak truth to power and empower the powerless. That technology matters only if it helps improve the human condition. The business matters only if it helps people live better lives. That success is not about what we take, but what we give. That no matter what we choose to do with our lives, the score that really counts is what we have done to help others, not ourselves. We are so busy, desperately searching for happiness in the most exhausting ways, in the most remote places, that we don't realize that happiness was staring us in the face all along. I hope none of us grows old to realize that we were happy all along and didn't know it. You, our graduates, have grown immensely over the past 4-ish years. You have grown academically. You have grown as leaders. You have formed priceless friendships. You have developed talents you didn't know you had. And then, in the last 2 months, you took an unexpected crash course in the meaning of life. So let's not be sad about this empty arena. Let's remember this day for all that it means. And while we're not physically together, we have gone through this together. Oh, and by the way, don't ever forget that you're now a Georgia Tech alum, that we want you to stay in touch, to tell us what you're up to. We count on you to spread the word about this place, to lend a hand to those who come behind you. And when you're rich and famous, know that we'll make sure to find you and kindly suggest that you put your name on a building or a classroom or a new scholarship program. For now, though, stay healthy. Work hard and smart. Enjoy life. On behalf of your faculty and all of us at Georgia Tech, and on behalf of Georgia Tech alumni all over the world, congratulations, class of 2020, on your accomplishment. We are immensely proud of you.
Our thanks to President Angel Cabrera for taking the time earlier this week to record that message. And we're actually going to hear from Cabrera live right here on stream a little bit later on, close to the 1:30 hour. So we've got you locked in. Glad to have you. You're on our YouTube. You're also on our Facebook. You might be watching on commencement.godtech.edu. In fact, there's a lot of wonderful things at commencement.godtech.edu to entertain you for your experience. And part of this virtual celebration is that one-stop shop of website tools, interactive elements that are going to make this graduation just a little bit more bearable. We're going to Steve Norris one more time. He's going to walk you through some of the things that are available to you. And right now we've got up our tag board. If you use hashtag GT20 or the hashtag Ramblin' On, you might see some of those stuff.
We've got Instagram, on Twitter. What everybody has to say. Congratulations to the class.
We know this wasn't the graduation day that you envisioned 3 or 4 years ago, but hopefully these experiences and tools will help celebrate some of your just fantastic accomplishments, the wonderful things you've done here at Georgia Tech. During the broadcast, we're going to air some messages from deans of each college. And we're going to begin just as we would during a commencement ceremony, and that is with the newest college. So if we had done the normal commencement in May, we would start with the newest college at Georgia Tech all the way down to the oldest. And the newest college, how fitting it is that in today's current state, it is actually the College of Computing. And our first message comes from Dr. Charles Isbell, the Dean of Computing here at Georgia Tech. While we're waiting for that to load, I also just want to remind you to come in at any point and drop in that comment stream, both on Facebook and then also anywhere else that you can, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever you might be able to do that. Let's see, do we have Charles Isbell up yet? We're working on it. We're still working on it. So this is live. All right, guys, this is live. We don't know really what's going to happen. We're working through a bunch of different things. I just want to give you a preview of some of the other students that we're going to be talking to. Cliff Panos is going to be one of our first ones that do up. He is a College of Computing graduate. We're going to see him after the message from Dr. Isbell, and also Adebisi Thompson. So 2 CS majors. We're going to try and run through just about all of those majors as we can. Pluck students. We have 50 students. We're going to do messages from every dean. So if you're in the College of Design, if you're in the College of Sciences, of course, engineering, we're going to have messages from those deans. Let's go ahead and see if we can get Dr. Charles Isbell rolled up. Oh, hold on. We're going to go ahead and go to Cliff Panos. So we'll get to that Charles Isbell in just a moment, but we want to welcome in Cliff Panos, who is a computer science major. See if we can get Cliff in here. Cliff, are you there? Can you hear us?
I'm here. I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you see me? Is it working?
I can see you too. Hi.
All right, there you are. I can see you. How's it going, Cliff? Now, where are you right now? Because you're not in Georgia.
No, I'm in Winter Park, Florida, back home.
Okay, so since you're our very first student, I want to ask you just what this experience has been like. For 3+ years, you're on campus and you're getting the normal college experience, and then the final few weeks of your final semester, you have to go through this virtual learning experience. How has that been?
Well, definitely unexpected, as we all know, but I think it's all of our job to make the best of it. And I think Georgia Tech has done a fantastic job putting together this online celebration. I feel celebrated. We're all being celebrated. And, I know a lot of us are still at home celebrating with our families, so I'm optimistic.
Well, we really appreciate you joining us today. You talk about making the best of it. That's something that you did with your time on campus. And one of your favorite memories that you told us, where we've seen you many, many times here from the social media side, was your experience with Adventure Prize and Unfolded. Tell us a little bit of what it was like to compete in Adventure Prize.
Absolutely. So Unfolded is an iOS app that we developed. It is the game of paper folding and hole punching designed to test and enhance your spatial abilities. And I think what's great about this memory is, the Adventure Prize is such an elusive competition that you hear about. Since your first day at Tech back at Facet, you hear that it's this amazing competition and you think, well, that's amazing, but it's a bit far-fetched. That probably won't be me, but that's awesome. And then to go through this, starting with the idea to prototype program through CreateX, and then end up applying on a whim, get some traction, and get to finally make it up onto that stage and do all the pitch practices. It was a really fantastic experience. We had a great time.
What was it like actually getting on the stage for an Adventure Prize with the cameras on, the lights on, and competing in that atmosphere against, I remember that group, it was a lot of really talented teams.
Absolutely. I would say a lot like this, just in the first theater. It was daunting. We didn't know what the questions were going to be, so we had to answer that on the spot in front of everyone and hopefully just be as prepared as we could be. But we were confident. We knew we had a lot of good things to say, and we got a great crowd reaction.
So one of the experiences that you've had here on campus, you're very familiar with campus because you've given a lot of tours, and it wasn't to students, it was to people like me. Why did you volunteer to give staff tours around Georgia Tech's campus?
Well, to be fair, it's through Georgia Tech Student Ambassadors, the fantastic organization that hopes to welcome people to campus. And these tours were new employee tours, which became my favorite event to do because it's your job over the course of 30 minutes, an hour, to convince these new employees who are going to work at Georgia Tech how amazing this place is, tell them about the amazing opportunities, and explain to the faculty, the staff, every single job that makes it possible for people to like me to come in here and have an amazing 4 years and get out and maybe accomplish our goals and achieve our dreams. And that's just a fantastic experience for everyone. And I ended up really enjoying getting to see their faces at the end of the tour when they started to understand, like, I have a big place in this, and this is huge.
Now, Cliff, you also did some things where you were out somewhere else, off campus, interning, something that a lot of students here at Georgia Tech do. Now, can you tell me about where you interned and how that has turned into what you're going to be doing next?
Absolutely. So I had the incredible experience of getting to intern with Apple Incorporated in Cupertino and Apple Park over the past 2 summers. The department I work in is a software engineering department, of course, computer science, called iOS System Experience. So we build a lot of the core components that power everything that runs on your phone, both things that you can see, like the home screen and the app switcher, down to things you can't see. A really great example is this past summer, I actually got to work on the iOS 13 volume indicator on the side of the screen, which you may have seen. Got to meet Tim Cook, do amazing things like that. And in July, I'll be returning to work full-time back in the same department in Cupertino, and I'm really excited to be working at a place that puts such an emphasis on quality, ethics, privacy, values, and really improving people's lives.
Yeah, I think there's an Apple in just about everybody's pocket these days in some form or fashion, which is why I know that you're going to a place with fantastic weather, because every time I flip up the weather bug on the iPhone, it's got Cupertino in there, and it's always like 72 degrees and sunny. So I think you're going to a good place.
You're completely right. I am so looking forward to that, but I will miss Georgia Tech dearly. Every day was another day of sun.
Well, Cliff, we really appreciate you joining us. You're on our maiden voyage for our virtual online celebration for graduation, and you're our guinea pig. You're our first student, and we got to talk to you. So really, really thank you for joining us today from Winter Park.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, we're going to see now, thanks to Cliff, we're going to see now if maybe we can go to that message from Dr. Charles Isbell in the College of Computing, and then we're going to talk to another computer. Here it is.
Oh, hi. I didn't hear you come in. How are you doing? It's good to know. It's good to know. Oh, this? Oh, this is just my regalia. I like to wear it when I'm cleaning up around the house and thinking about graduation and commencement. And right now, commencement is very much on my mind. And I suspect it's on your mind, too. It wasn't that long ago before I became the dean of the College of Computing, I was an undergrad at Georgia Tech, and I still remember when I got out, and I still remember how important it was to march, to be a part of commencement. I want that for you, too. I think it's important that we get a chance to come together and to celebrate all the things that you've done, all the things that we've been able to do together, and the promise of all the things that we're going to do, and that we're going to be able to celebrate for you. So I want you to know that I congratulate you.
Our thanks to Dr. Charles Isbell for that fantastic message. Gotta love the way that he started that one. Gotta get a nice little comical beginning. But Dr. Isbell, who's just recently been promoted to Dean of the College of Computing, he has been just a fantastic addition, and we're so lucky to have him. We've got another computer science major who is now a graduate of Georgia Tech who is going to join us. It is Adebisi Thompson. Adebisi, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We're working through a few technical glitches here. It's the first time trying this on the big stage, but we're glad to have you with us. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is your involvement with many of the things involved around computing at Georgia Tech. You were a big part of HackGT. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience as both a computing major and then what you did extracurricular with HackGT, one of the bigger organizations here on campus?
Yes, absolutely. So it actually all starts back to my freshman year. I was a volunteer at the hackathon, and 2 years later, I actually ended up joining the marketing team. So this is pretty much the team that's really just the voice of HackGT. So I was really able to find my place there and able to hone in on other skills that I've had before, such as like video editing. I had the opportunity to be creative and run Instagram campaigns and really just enjoy myself and in something that I'm just so interested in.
I think HackGT is maybe one of the best organizations on campus about reaching out not just to minorities, but local minorities, people who may not have the same access to computing. I know that's a part of what you've done as well here on campus. Can you talk to us just a little bit about how you spread computing beyond the reach of campus?
Yeah, so one of the things I do have is that I've had a YouTube channel, and on this, I just vlog. I vlogged my day, and one day freshman year, and the video it sort of blew up, and I've had people message me on Instagram and contact me and email me and write in questions and ask, what is it like to be a Georgia Tech student? And people who, maybe they look like me, what is it like to be a Black Georgia Tech student? And I'm really just able to give these new students advice or prospective students advice. And it's something that I've had a lot of fun doing, and I truly enjoy it.
Okay, talking about enjoyment, what was your favorite memory on campus? You kind of wrote us in one. I hope this is the one you say, but what was some of your favorite memories on campus?
Yeah, so probably one of my favorite memories on campus is actually this past fall, I was able to attend a conference called TAPIA, which is basically the conference for celebration and computing of diverse students. And at this conference, they had a celebration dinner at the end of the entire event. And my roommate and I, we ended up showing up a little bit late, and we were trying to look for the table that had other GT students on it. And we could only find the professors, the administrators, and we couldn't find any of the students. So my roommate and I were kind of like arguing for like 30 seconds or so, being like, should we sit here? Should we not sit here? And finally, she's like, okay, we're just going to sit here and we're just going to have dinner with them. And one of the people at this table was actually Dean Isbell. And I can honestly say he is one of the most funny people I've ever met in my entire life. And it was just such a unique experience to be able to sit down and have dinner with the dean on accident, pretty much. And it's something I will never forget.
Yeah, he's a character, right? I mean, he knows how to keep a conversation going, that's for sure.
Yes.
All right, Adebisi, thank you so much for joining us. We really were proud to have you here. We're proud of you as a graduate, and hopefully this virtual online celebration will help you out a little bit as you. Are you gonna, if we're gonna plan on doing something where you guys come back to campus, are you gonna come back for it?
Probably, since I'm from Georgia. I live a little bit outside of Atlanta, so I'll probably be back.
All right, when you come back, you check in with us, okay?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, that was Adebisi Thompson, a computer science major. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a lot of congratulatory messages for you today. And we're going to go ahead and show you some from our alumni here at Georgia Tech who wanted to say congratulations to you as the class of 2020.
Hello, I'm Roger Crone, Aerospace Engineering Class of 1978 and CEO of Leidos. I want to congratulate you on your graduation from Georgia Tech. It's unfortunate that the COVID-19 pandemic has changed your plans. You're entering a new world with a new emphasis on what's important. The skills you gained at Tech will serve you well in the post-pandemic world where technology will be of increasing value. The class of 2020 will forever be unique. You have had to deal with finishing your classes remotely. You'll be graduating virtually. Coming through this time will build your confidence and realization that you can deal with the unknown and the uncertain. I also hope that the recent events have helped you understand what is important to you and that this experience will help guide you in your path forward. What is worthy of your life's work? Be bold, do great things that matter. Good luck, class of 2020.
To the class of 2020, I offer a huge congratulations on your monumental achievement. Graduating from college is no small feat, especially when your diploma says Georgia Institute of Technology. Go forth and conquer. Make all the Yellow Jackets who have come before you proud. I wish you nothing but the best as you travel along life's journey. Go Jackets!
Hello, fellow alumni. It must feel pretty good to finally be called that, alumni. I know this is a particularly bittersweet moment. While it's exciting to move forward onto the next chapter of your life after so much hard work, this moment doesn't have the celebratory feeling I know you must have anticipated. The world has changed immensely over the past couple of months. But change is the only constant in the universe, and how you handle change and adapt to that change is what's going to ultimately shape your lives and your careers. Now, thanks to your education at Tech, you're not only going to be able to meet the challenges of today, but ultimately see it through and hopefully play a role in shaping the world in the years to come. As I look back on my time at Georgia Tech, it had a more profound and lasting change, not just on my career, but on my life than anything else I've done to date. From what I learned in the classroom to whom I met outside of the classroom has continued to shape me over the 25 years since I left the campus. Even today, most of my closest friends are either Tech alum or people I've been introduced to through Tech alum. I'm excited to join the thousands of alumni congratulating you on completing your studies and look forward to watching you celebrate your commencement later this year. Congratulations.
Hello everyone, it's Tashard Choice, running backs coach here at Georgia Tech alum. I first want to congratulate all you guys for graduating. It's a huge accomplishment, graduating from the Institute. A lot of things that you learn, make sure you use it once you hit the real world. The best is yet to come. Congratulations to all you guys. Have fun, celebrate.
It's always great to hear from faculty and alumni, and of course, Tashard Choice, who is one of the more energetic characters on Coach Collins' football staff. In fact, there are 54 student athletes that are graduating across different disciplines here today at Georgia Tech. And as we continue down the list of colleges, just as we would have in a commencement ceremony, we're going from newest to oldest. So now we will hear from the Ivan Allen College of Liberal Arts. Ivan Allen is celebrating 19 master's students and 103 graduates this spring. Here's a message from the used to be interim Dean John Tone.
Hi, I'm John Tone, interim dean of the Ivan Allen College of Liberal Arts. Congratulations on getting out in trying times. I hope you come back to campus soon and often. Again, congratulations.
Our thanks to John Tone for jumping on there. And then we have the newest dean here on the campus of Georgia Tech. Her first day will be June 1st. It is Kay Husbands Feelings, who is going to give us her congratulations message.
Hi, I'm Kay Husbands Feeling, Chair of the School of Public Policy and incoming Dean of the Ivan Allen College of Liberal Arts. Graduating from Georgia Tech is one of the great milestones of your life. We are so proud of you, your perseverance, creativity, and achievements. You will always be a cherished member of the Georgia Tech family. So, congratulations and warmest wishes for a wonderful life and a brilliant career.
So our thanks to both Kay and John for jumping on and dropping congratulations, and congratulations to all of you LMC and Ivan Allen students. In fact, we're going to be joined by an LMC student right now. It's Zoe Conacher. We've got her on the line. We'll bring her into the feed. Once again, you're watching on our live Facebook, YouTube, and commencement.godtech.edu. Zoe, how's it going? We've got you. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Atlanta.
All right, what part of Atlanta? You could be right down the road from us, right?
I am actually. I'm actually living in Midtown right now and moving back up to Smyrna later this summer.
Zoe, you are an LMC major here at Georgia Tech, getting your degree. But one of the things that about your story is that you've been very involved on campus, because you're going to know everything that goes on campus. Tell us what you were doing for a large part of your career here.
Well, for the past 4 years, I've been a part of the newspaper staff. Our weekly newspaper is The Technique. We have new copies every Friday. This past year, I was the editor-in-chief, which means I was in charge of the whole shebang. I managed content, I did research, I met with faculty members, I met with all of the most important students on campus, including some of those that you guys are going to hear from today. And, you know, this was my passion. It became my passion over the past 4 years, though I came in for LMC to do something a little different than journalism.
What was the experience like here at Georgia Tech, where LMC is kind of not as prominent? Journalism, though we've got the school newspaper, it's not something that Georgia Tech is known for, but there are so many students that maybe they get their degrees in something else, or they are LMC, that go on to do wonderful things outside of Georgia Tech, and many of those have been Technique alumni. What have you learned by working at the Technique that you think you can carry on?
I've learned a lot of leadership skills. I've learned a lot of managing skills, especially at the Technique with such a wonderful, warm, and hardworking community. I've learned a lot about, you know, pursuing your passions and, you know, following those stories that mean a lot to you. And so I can really carry that over, as well as my other Technique alumni, onto the other parts of our lives, where we just have to keep chasing our dreams and chasing those important pieces of our lives, whether that be stories about on campus or stories about the greater Atlanta area or wherever we're headed after college.
Zoe, you have done a lot of things in your college career, and one of which is what a lot of Georgia Tech students do, is travel abroad, study abroad. Where have you gone in the name of Georgia Tech?
Well, my second year, I went to Uruguay and Argentina for the Global Development Study Abroad program. It was an absolutely amazing experience. I learned a lot about soccer, politics, and I learned a lot about myself along the way as well. And I can't recommend South America as a destination to travel enough. It was really a life-changing experience, and I think study abroad is one of those really unique things that Georgia Tech has that all students should participate in.
All right, think back over the last 4 or so years that you've been here at Georgia Tech. What is your favorite memory? Now, you were at the Technique, so you got to cover all sorts of wonderful things. You went overseas. What's number one?
Number one, it's hard to choose, but I guess number one was this entire senior year, or my 4th year, and being the editor-in-chief of the Technique staff, just because they really became my family, and I've never felt more supported and loved and encouraged in my studies and in my pursuits of my career and all of that stuff. I mean, the Technique is my home and my heart, and so just wanted to, you know, that they're definitely my favorite memory and my favorite people on campus.
Zoe, we are so proud of you for getting your degree from Georgia Tech. We've read all your stuff at the Technique over the past couple of years, and I really hope that you have a fantastic virtual online graduation celebration, and we look forward to hearing some great things from you in the future.
Thank you very much.
All right, that is Zoe Conacher. We've got a few more students that are going to be joining us here. Once again, my name is Bryce Zimmerman. We are live on Georgia Tech's Facebook feed, live on YouTube, live on commencement.godtech.edu, and we want you to be a part of the process. Send in your tweets with the hashtag GT20, hashtag Ramblin' On, and hashtag Swarm Strength. So make sure that you can be a part of today's festivities. Okay, let's bring in another student. I believe that we have, let's see, we've got Armando Gonzalez and Aaron Burtz joining us. All right, here we are. We've got Aaron, we've got Armando, and you two, you're not LMC guys, and you're not Ivan Allen graduates, but you are very involved on campus, because I think, didn't you guys used to like always go to athletic events together? One of you can talk first. How about Armando?
Yeah.
I think we've lost Armando. I think we've lost your audio. You're up. Aaron, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can get Aaron's audio. Not sure about Armando.
Yeah, I'll just hop in. Yeah, so Armando and I definitely went to a lot of different sporting events. Football was probably my favorite. Being down there on the sideline, getting to see everything kind of up close and personal and work on game days was like a really big, cool opportunity.
Yeah, what is it like when you're that close to the action? When you're on the sideline, you know your friends are all up in the stands, but you get the opportunity to be real close to some defining moments in Georgia Tech football, basketball, baseball, all those things.
Yeah, so I grew up a Tech fan. Both my older sisters came here, so I've had season tickets at the football games growing up, all of that. And being down close and personal with the action is just a whole nother level. Seeing a touchdown pass caught right in the corner of the end zone, about 5 feet in front of you, the energy just kind of takes that next level. And you can kind of see the players and like the other student athletes, how much they really care and like how much passion they're putting into these sports and just love for Georgia Tech in general.
All right, so we've got Armando back in here. Let's test your audio again. Armando, you there?
Can you guys hear me?
We got you.
Yeah.
We got you. We have audio
from
both of you. All right, so real quickly, Armando, Aaron was telling me that you guys have spent a lot of time together going to sporting events, but what has been some of the things that you've enjoyed about spending time together at these Georgia Tech events?
It's been great. We carried a lot of water for the cheerleading team. We carried boxes of water around for each of the different squads. We would walk around and, hold Buzz up on a nice big board so that he could do his push-ups. Covered a lot of social media, a lot of marketing, and really just kind of tried to blend into the crowd, honestly.
So you really got like the full experience from the outside looking in. You know what? You look a little tense, Armando. You can kick up your feet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, I wore my favorite shoes today. As the tradition states for graduation, I know a lot of older alumni would appreciate that wearing my Converse today as a sign of being Buzz for the past 3 years, and really exciting to be able to reveal it in a different format than usual. But, Aaron and I have both served on the team and are honored to be here today. When my audio wasn't working, I was trying to write some cue cards to show you guys how I was feeling, but it didn't really. I'm glad I could patch back in and tell you with my voice.
All right, Aaron, so we've made the reveal. You guys were both Buzzes. That's why you were so close to the action on game days. Best experience as a Buzz. Like when you're in that outfit, what is it like when you go to these game days and you see all these people just absolutely in love with you?
Oh, first of all, it's hot. I will do that. But I would say that like my favorite interactions were probably pre-game, and when you have really young Tech fans that are there at the games with their parents, their families, whatever it is, they're sometimes either terrified of you or mesmerized by you, which is a really interesting interaction. And when you can have an interaction with a young fan that makes their day, you can just see their face light up, and they, you can just tell they fall in love with Tech that day, and it's going to be a lifelong thing. That's really special.
Armando, I think when you're in a mascot uniform, and I'm going to go ahead and admit something, I'm not Buzz, but I have also been inside a sweaty, hot mascot uniform in my life, and it smells, and it can be terrible at times and terribly hot, like Aaron just said. But when you're in that mascot uniform, you kind of have carte blanche to do whatever you want. I mean, Buzz literally is probably the only person on campus that can just do whatever he wants. So tell me about what it's like to just run around and be crazy.
Oh, it's great. You kind of get a power trip by being able to run around and have that excuse of anonymity. I know I made a few students mad by cutting the line at the student center for Chick-fil-A a few times. I got a couple dirty looks, but I knew that they'd forgive me in a couple seconds just because I could step in front of the line and kind of use that. So I'm sorry to those students that I probably ruined their day while they were waiting for lunch. But I mean, it's a great feeling, and you don't really abuse it or you just have fun with it. And that's what everyone wants you there for. When you're at the games, they know that you feel that energy and you're kind of just helping that rub off on everybody else.
Well, we really appreciate you guys joining us and making your reveal that you were Buzzes during your time here at Georgia Tech. And just congratulations, not just on getting your degrees, but also representing Georgia Tech as far as it goes in terms of imagery and iconery at the highest level, being Buzz. I mean, it's one of our favorite moments during the usual commencements that go on when that Buzz does get launched across the stage. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been an honor.
All right, so that's Aaron and Armando, and now we're going to be joined in by Daniela Noronha. Now, Daniela might be a familiar face to those Georgia Tech fans on social media because, Daniela, this is not your first time on Georgia Tech social media. In fact, you and I worked on a video a couple of years ago celebrating the 132nd birthday of Georgia Tech, and now here you are graduating. How does it feel to be back on Georgia Tech social media feeds?
It feels great. Yeah, I really enjoyed the birthday cake video we got to do. That was 2 years ago, so that would be my sophomore year. It was just such a great experience, so I'm really glad to be back here again.
All right, so your major, I think, is probably the scariest major at Georgia Tech, especially for even Georgia Tech students, but people that didn't go to Tech. There's no way that we would ever consider. In fact, I tried to work my entire college career around not taking one of these classes. What was your major?
So I am a math major. I just finished up my math degree, and I can tell you what you just said. A lot of people tell me that as well. I hear that all the time. It was a great experience. It was definitely very difficult, but I was very lucky to have a lot of great friends and a lot of great professors to help get me through it.
Daniela, there's not a lot of female math majors out there. What was it like for you kind of being in a male-dominated major and one of the few female mathematicians out there solving equations the rest of us try to avoid?
So it was definitely daunting at first, but one thing I think was really, really awesome about my incoming freshman class is that there were a lot of girls coming in together, and I think we really formed some great connections, and staying together and just having so many great advisors and professors in the math department really made it a lot less scary than I was expecting. But yeah, I'm really proud to be part of that class.
Well, you're seeing some of the pictures that have come up on the screen here on our live stream, and part of that is a women's conference, a women's leadership conference that you were able to organize. Can you give me some detail there?
Yeah, so the Women's Leadership Conference actually started in the winter of 1998, which I love to talk about because that's also when I was born. So it's been held at Georgia Tech for the past 22 years, and I was co-chair of the planning committee the past 2 years, and it was just my absolute favorite thing I did at Tech. A great way to meet other women, both at Georgia Tech, alumni, and the Atlanta community. And we just spent a lot of time putting together like a one-day conference that really encouraged women to come together, build connections, build that community. And it's just so nice to have a space like that at Georgia Tech.
All right, Daniela, what's next on the horizon for you? What are you going to be doing after you get your degree here from Georgia Tech today?
So after graduation, I'll be moving to Dallas, Texas, and I'll be working as a technical consultant for Microsoft. So I'm really excited for that.
And a lot of math in that job?
Definitely not as much as my degree, but I think I'll be doing a fair amount.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on doing just a fantastic job celebrating the 132nd birthday of Georgia Tech a few years ago. We've worked with you many times since then. I know everybody around the Student Center has had wonderful things to say about you, not just as a student, but also as an employee. So thank you. All right, so that was Daniela Noronha, and it is now time to check on another one of our dean. Well, you know what? This just in, we have a live shot. Daniela, like so many other students, spent a lot of time at the Student Center, so now we're going live to Evan Atkinson as he gives us a look on this gorgeous first day of May. Evan, can you see me? Can you hear me right now? Okay, it looks like you can't hear me, so we'll just talk over Evan's beautiful shots here, but you can see, I think the high today is supposed to be in the low 70s, not a cloud in the sky, and it is empty, guys, girls. It is an empty campus. We want to keep it good. Breeze rolling on. That Campanile has been standing proudly. In fact, we have news on the Campanile. Looks like it's going to be staying right where it is throughout the entire Student Center rebuild. You can see Tech Green off in the distance there. And this is Tech Walkway. Some people call it Skiles Walkway. This is one of my favorite parts of campus because it's one of those joining points, especially around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, the lunch hours. You can run in, grab some Chick-fil-A, grab some Panda Express, and hop back out on the front lawn, throw the Frisbee. Springtime, one of the best times to be on campus. And we know that you have been missing it. So we wanted to at least show you what campus is looking like right now. Some of the comments rolling in. Continue to send in your comments, facebook.com. That's the best place to have your comments show up on the live stream. But you can also share other social media feeds by using the hashtags GT20, the hashtag Swarm Strength, and the hashtag Ramblin' On. So thank you, Evan, for showing us that live shot. Beautiful day here on campus. It's a skeleton crew. We don't have a ton of people on campus, but we are certainly enjoying the day. All right, we're going to move on now to get another message from one of our deans. Next up, it is Stephen French from the College of Design.
My name is Steve French, and I'm the Dean of the College of Design. Congratulations, graduates. Great job. This is not the ceremony that any of us expected to be having this spring. You've certainly earned the right to celebrate the completion of your education at Georgia Tech, and I hope you will. This is a special day, and I hope it's one you'll always remember. This is also a special day for family and friends who have supported you along the way. I hope you'll take the time to thank them for all their support. Your parents, your spouses, your siblings, your partners, and others who have supported you and helped you get to this special day. You just completed a very difficult and incredibly challenging spring semester. None of us expected to be learning online and delivering classes remotely. I commend you for rising to meet this challenge. This is an incredible challenge, and you've done a great job with it. You've demonstrated the resilience and adaptability that are the hallmarks of Georgia Tech students. Good job. These traits are going to serve you well throughout your career and for the rest of your lives. These are uncertain times. Things will get better, but you will face many challenges both in the short run and through your life. Remember what you've learned here, and remember, you're from Georgia Tech, and you can do that. Go Jackets.
Go Jackets indeed. Thank you very much to Dean French for delivering that message for the College of Design. Let's get another student to come on in. I'm going to talk now to Connor Hawley. Connor Hawley, an ECE graduate to be today. Connor, where are you calling in from today?
Hey, I'm calling in from the suburbs north of Atlanta.
All right, nice. Not going to give us the specific location. I understand. I got you there. Just from outside Atlanta. Everything looking good for you on graduation day. I know this is not the commencement that maybe you thought you were going to have even a few short months ago, but how are you holding up having done now your final virtual class?
It's been a bittersweet experience. You know, I was really looking forward to the last 6 weeks, and even though they didn't turn out like I wanted them to, I'm really fortunate to have really responsive professors and solid group mates who stuck with it till the end. It's really surreal. I think a big part of me was thinking that everything was on pause around spring break, but I think today it's really hitting me that it's not just on pause, it's that time is lost.
Well, we really appreciate you being a part of our virtual and online celebration. We're going to get a look at some of the things that you did here during your time here on campus. And one of those was serving as a GT 1000 leader. And I want to ask you about that. What it was like to help new students adjust to life at Tech? Every semester, we get a new crop of students, many of which are not familiar with the day-to-day activities on campus. And you were there to help some of them out.
Yeah, I think that was definitely one of my favorite experiences. One of the biggest things for me was, you know, like a big thing that GT students encounter when they first get to campus is imposter syndrome. And GT 1000 for me was a great way to get to those first year students and let them know that they're here and there's a reason why they're here. And that was always something to boost their confidence that meant a lot to me. I remember there was one student that I got to mentor, and he had won some like Google coding challenge like globally, and he thought that he wasn't going to make it at this school, but just being able to bring up those people and encourage them was a fantastic experience.
Connor, you interned at a very cool place. I think that we've already talked to quite a few people that have interned on the left coast, have gone out to California, and you got to go to the hotbed of tech. Can you tell me a little bit about your internship with Texas Instruments?
Yeah, that was an incredible experience. I was focusing on technical sales. So what was really cool about that is not only was I interacting with my colleagues at Texas Instruments, but I also got to drive around and visit a lot of the big clients out in the Bay Area. Some of the big names were big clients of Texas Instruments. So I got to see a lot of different workplaces, and it's also just being there, and it's really the culture there is really electric. I mean, everything is so tech focused, and I mean that was during the weekdays, but I'd say on the weekends too. You know, the Bay has a lot to offer. Some of my favorite memories were road tripping down to Monterey with my friends, and being in San Francisco for Pride were some of the things that I'm not going to forget about those times.
On campus, you did something that I will never do, and that is running the Pi Mile. I can barely run a mile. I can eat a whole pie, but I would never run the Pi Mile. And that's something that a lot of students see on campus, but maybe don't always do. And you mentioned that as one of your favorite things. Tell me a little bit about running that Pi Mile.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to it this year, but I wasn't able to make it. But all my other years of undergrad, I got the chance to run it. It's such a nice loop around campus, being able to see so many of the landmarks you get to go by, the stadium and by Tech Tower. It's just a really cool way to also connect with alumni on campus. You know, that so much of the tech community comes out for that, even though it is early in the morning, especially for a college student. It's a great way to engage with the campus community, and overall also a pretty decent workout.
All right, what are you going to miss most about not being on campus anymore as you embark on your professional career? I'm trying to get a tear out of you here.
One of the biggest things that I think sums it up is my favorite thing about tech is definitely the traditions. You know, tech has this beautiful tradition of, you know, there's so many different things, especially like doing the horse after a game day, or taking pictures with the reg, riding in the reg. That's something that I'm going to miss a lot. Or even though it's everywhere, hearing the whistle, no matter what part of Midtown you're in, it's been weird not hearing the whistle every hour.
Well, Connor, we really appreciate you. And if you stay tuned to the end of the broadcast, we're going to actually try and show that whistle blow live here on the Facebook and YouTube feeds. But thank you for joining us. A lot of comments coming in congratulating you. And we're going to do the same. Congratulations on getting your degree from Georgia Tech.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much.
Speaking of degrees from Georgia Tech, there is one man who has more degrees from Tech than anybody else. And I am pleased to announce that we are going to bring you the first ever live video interview with George P. Burdell, the legendary Georgia Tech graduate who in 2001 was nearly named the Time Person of the Year. Let's see if we can get in George. Yeah, let's cut that, guys. Looks like we've lost that feed for George P. Burdell. Stay tuned, because I guarantee you that we will get George P. Burdell for the first time ever, as he just completed his neuroscience degree to add to his laundry list of degrees. Speaking of science, let's go ahead and bring in Armand Rayner, another one of our student interviews. Armand is a computer science graduate. Armand, I thought you were just about to follow up George P. Burdell. It didn't happen. So now we've got to go with you. That's a tough act to follow, though. How's it going? Where are you calling in from?
It's going good. I'm right by campus, about 5 minutes away at my house.
All right, so we're going to get right to it. There's something going on in the background of you are like Georgia Teching out right now as we speak. Can you turn around and show me what you're doing? Because this is like one of the coolest things ever.
Sure. I've been 3D printing and working on this full-scale humanoid robot. I got my legs in the back, working on the mid-torso now, just trying to pass time during quarantine.
Yeah, no big deal. Just got my robot legs in the back, just chilling out behind me. It's like, I mean, what possessed you to say, I'm going to build a robot with this extra time I've got at home?
Man, it's always been a project I've wanted to do. It's open source. There's an entire community behind it. And so I said, why not make the most of this extra time we have? I'm stuck at home anyway. Might as well, try something new.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about your Georgia Tech career. When you got on campus, you were involved with Georgia Tech's marching band. What was that experience like, getting on the field, traveling with the team, and being a part of the white and gold marching band?
It was amazing. Like, game days at Tech are so electric. And being on that field at halftime and seeing Bobby Dye filled with people is one of the most undescribable experiences I can think of. It was absolutely amazing.
And so you get on the campus, you get involved with band, but you get involved with lots of other stuff too. Here's a look at you playing what is that, a French horn? I have no idea. I'm not
It's
a
a
music.
baritone.
Baritone, of course. Yeah, baritone. No, I knew that. So you're a member of the band, but you're also very involved here on campus. And one of the things that you were a part of was the National Society for Black Engineers. You were on that executive board. What was your experience like on that board? What were some of the things you were trying to accomplish as a student here?
Man, the National Society of Black Engineers, NSBE, is like one of the best organizations I could have ever been a part of. I came in my freshman year and served as president of their freshman leadership initiative. And then I joined the executive board my junior year as the finance chair and became treasurer this year. And I work with corporate and bring companies into our membership, help younger students secure internships. It's just amazing. Travel all around the country to different conferences and just meet people, network, and really just love STEM.
We're getting a look at some of your pictures. There's a graduation photo for you. And yeah, NSBE, I think the work that you guys do is fantastic. And I know that's something that you individually have worked on, is getting more involved with those K through 12 students. We know now, after looking in the back there with your robot legs, that you're into robotics. And that's something you've tried to reach out to with the community.
Definitely. I learned about computer science through the FIRST Robotics program. I had a Lego Mindstorm set growing up as a kid, so I would build little Lego robots and program them. And it's something I'm passionate about. So anytime I get a chance to reach out and, you know, teach younger kids about STEM, computer science, robotics, and just creating something and turning it from an idea to the mind to an actual physical creation, I love to give back and really try and just spread the excitement about tech, robotics, and computer science.
Armand, graduation today. You'll get your degree in the mail. What's next for Armand Rainer?
And I'll be moving out to Mountain View and working at Google full-time as a software engineer. Really excited.
Well, we are so proud of you. Thank you for joining us, for calling in. Finish that. We want to see the robot when it's done, okay? Can you like send us the video and pictures?
I'll tweet Georgia Tech for sure.
Yeah, definitely send us a tweet. In fact, all of you can send us tweets. You can do the hashtag GT20. You can also hashtag Swarm Strength and Rambling On. Congratulations again, Armand.
Thank you so much.
All right, so that is Armand Rainer. And once again, we are live on Georgia Tech's Facebook feed, on the YouTube feed, and you can head over to commencement.godtech.edu. There's lots of little toys for you to play with there. In fact, you can, if you haven't ever walked across stage, if you're an undergraduate, you can go there and you can experience what it was like for one of our graduates in 2019's fall commencement, Dalton Touchberry, and you can experience a virtual reality walking across the stage and shaking Angel Cabrera's hand. So make sure you go to commencement.godtech.edu. Now, Georgia Tech actually began as a military institution way back in the 1800s, and it is a big intrinsic part of what Georgia Tech started as. We still have large segments of Army, Navy, and Air Force ROTC members that graduate from Tech and go on to do wonderful things in their military and civilian careers. So let's get a let's try that again, live TV. Let's get a congratulatory message from our ROTC.
And congratulations to all our graduates. On behalf of the Army, Navy, and Air Force ROTC units, I congratulate our cadets and midshipmen who will enter military service as commissioned officers. I'm Captain Patrick Fahey, the commanding officer of the Navy Reserve Officer Training Corps. Thank you to the Georgia Tech community for supporting these important ROTC programs. To our soon-to-be commissioned officers who will be leading our nation's soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who proudly represent and defend our nation in every domain, sea, land, air, space, and cyberspace, I say thank you for your selfless service, your dedication, and your leadership. You, along with your fellow graduates, represent the finest future leaders of your generation, and you will make a positive impact not just on your communities and in your fields, but everywhere around the globe. I know you will humbly serve, just as you humbly celebrate your incredible individual accomplishments made possible by the support of your classmates, faculty, friends, and family. Congratulations on a job well done.
Our thank you to Georgia Tech's ROTC, officers, and everybody, of course, serving all around the world for the Stars and Stripes. We really do appreciate everything that you do. We've always remembered that on our commencement days. In fact, normally during our commencement ceremony, President Angel Cabrera and before him, Dr. Bud Peterson, would always honor those who have served here at Georgia Tech, and we want to continue that here, even on our virtual online celebration. We continue those congratulatory messages with one of the busiest and coolest business colleges in the entire campus. I think it's like the best building and location on campus, being up in Tech Square. Let's hear from Dean Miriam Alavi in the College of Business.
Hello, and congratulations on your graduation from the Georgia Institute of Technology. I'm Miriam Alavi, Dean of Scheller College of Business. I have, along with the rest of campus, thoroughly enjoyed having you as a part of the Georgia Tech community. I am so proud of your accomplishments. You deserve to be celebrated. I wish so much that I could have seen you at commencement and recognize your hard work in person. And I'm so proud of the outstanding way you have weathered the current circumstances. Your strength and flexibility throughout this challenging time is commendable. I know you will make your positive mark on society and in your respective fields, and we look forward to celebrating your future successes. While we will miss seeing you, we know you are well equipped to overcome any obstacles that come your way and achieve new levels of success. We are excited to see the enhancements you bring to the world. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and I know you will represent Georgia Tech well throughout the rest of your journey. Congratulations again on all your accomplishments.
Our thanks to Dean Miriam Alavi for taking the time to deliver that message for the Scheller College of Business. Let's go ahead and bring in a business major, if we can, and someone who should be very familiar to the campus at Georgia Tech, the Mr. Georgia Tech, Francis Yang. Francis, how's it going?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
We're doing great. We're plugging along here about an hour into this live stream. We've talked to a lot of students, still got a lot more on the docket. We're glad to have you with us. Tell me a little bit about your experience at the Scheller College of Business and what it was like to go to class pretty much every day in Tech Square, which is just, I think, the coolest amalgamation of different things happening in Atlanta.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was definitely like a very special experience to be able to be a student at Scheller. I think being Tech Square is awesome. There's so much life in Tech Square and in the city, and to be able to be close to that, I think is really, really great for a college, especially for business. And I think also, I will never forget being able to go to class in such a beautiful building with the Chihuly glass, and the whole building is great. And of course, our advisors, I think at Scheller are amazing. I was actually just on a call with them right before this. That was just like a little celebration call, and there's great advisors and also great people and friends to all the students here. So Scheller was definitely a very, very great experience for me.
All right, your experience at Georgia Tech, not just confined to Scheller College of Business, but I think something that's really cool about what you were able to do was intern down at the Georgia Capitol. Tell me what it was like to go down to the Gold Dome.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was very cool to be able to be so close to the action of, the state capitol, and to be there every day and to live so close to campus was awesome, because I could still have campus life and be involved in the student orgs that I loved being involved in while also working. And I really, really enjoyed that experience. So that was very special for me.
All right. You are Mr. Georgia Tech, and there's you at a football game. We're looking at it live. But as Mr. Georgia Tech, you go onto the field. You don't know it's going to be you. It gets announced over the loudspeaker in front of a homecoming crowd. What in the world was going through your head at that time?
Well, at first, I think I was double checking to make sure that I was Francis and that was cleared. I'm Francis. But it was just so overwhelming in terms of, the gratitude that I felt. I felt like it was a culmination of so many years of love and support that I've gotten from so many friends and faculty from Georgia Tech. And so to be there on the field and to have that special moment was really overwhelming.
Over the years, we've seen you involved in many different organizations here on campus, and one of those is For the Kids, which I think FTK does one of the coolest things with the dance marathon. We saw a picture there in your slideshow. For those that may not know, what is the dance marathon and what did it mean to you?
Yeah, so dance marathon is the final culmination of a year of work, and it's a group of students who are involved in For the Kids, and they raise money and awareness for the Children's Healthcare Atlanta and for the 3 hospitals in that system. And so the picture that was shown earlier from that event, that was the first time that the organization had raised over $200,000. This past year, they've raised over $300,000. And so I think that was one of the proudest moments for me as a Georgia Tech student was to come together with that student organization and be able to make such a big impact on the Atlanta community from just a group of college students.
Francis, you've got the opportunity right now with what I'm going to say is millions of people watching around campus, maybe over the course of the next 4 or 5 years. But what would you like to say to the graduating class of 2020 who went through this just completely different way of finishing out the semester?
Yeah, I think with Georgia Tech, I mean, we've all made it into the school and like made it back out. And I think that really goes to show that we're hardworking people who are like very adaptable. And this is no different. We've faced challenges previously. And I think this is not a challenge that we can't overcome just like any other. I'm so proud to be a Yellow Jacket. And I think that's one thing that I really love about Georgia Tech is how much pride people who graduate from Georgia Tech take in the current students and in their accomplishments and in the other alumni from Georgia Tech. And I think in a time like this is a time where I especially feel extra pride in knowing how our student body will sort of overcome the challenges from this semester.
Well, congratulations, Francis. I've been saying congratulations a lot, and we all mean it across the board here at Georgia Tech. I'm just the spokesperson for it, but everybody is very proud of what all of the class of 2020 has accomplished, even before we had to go through what we've had to do over the last couple of months. So enjoy the rest of your day. We're going to let you go and have a great time today.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, that was Francis Yang, a Scheller College of Business undergraduate. And there are over 300 graduates from Scheller. And this primary broadcast has been focused on undergraduate students, but we're graduating a lot of master's and PhD students as well. Some of them have had the opportunity to cross stages before, including Kiera Patterson. In fact, she has crossed the stage here at Georgia Tech. Let's bring in Kiera and talk about her master's degree. Kiera, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, we're chugging along. We're doing the best we can, and we really appreciate you taking the time to come and join us. And what I'd like to talk to you about is something that we love here at Georgia Tech is you're a double jacket. You got your undergraduate here, and now you're completing your master's. So tell us what your first degree was in and your second degree that you are now getting from Scheller. How do they combine?
Yeah, so I got my undergraduate degree in industrial engineering, graduated in 2015, and I went to go work at AT&T as a project manager. And I realized that I really wanted to work with brands and understanding how people choose products. So I came back to Scheller and got my MBA. So I'm graduating with a concentration in marketing and really excited to start working in marketing.
And you are part of the largest class of women to start at the Scheller School of Business. And I know that you've also been a part of being a diversity and inclusion fellow. What does that entail and what does that mean for you as a student?
Yeah, so when I came back to Georgia Tech, I knew that I really wanted to bring some resources for people with disabilities. As a person who uses a wheelchair, I knew how important that is. So I signed up for the Diversity and Inclusion Fellows, and with some other fellows, I was able to create ABLE Alliance, which is a organization led by students for students, faculty, and staff, bringing inclusive resources for people with disabilities. And I'm really excited about all the things we've done this year. We won Best Newest Organization this year, so it's been really great.
At Georgia Tech, you have been involved in a lot of different things as both an undergrad and a grad. So your timeline here as a double jacket has been a little bit longer, and you were here for something that happened a few years ago, a presidential visit. And I know that meant a lot to you.
Yeah, so I remember when they announced that President Obama was coming to campus, me and my friends, we waited in line to get inside of McCamish. How excited everybody was to see him, all of the pictures that were shared, and the talk that he talked about with student financial aid was really important and relevant. So I'm really excited that I got a chance to see that. That's something that you would want to put on your bucket list, is seeing a president in person.
Kiera, if you could say anything to this class of 2020, what would it be?
Yeah, I would say congratulations. You know, it's so much work that we put in to become Yellow Jackets and to get to this point. So, you know, really take pride in all the work that you've done, and you really did a lot to get to this point, and congratulations. And you will have that moment to celebrate in person. And I really can't wait to see my classmates. We all are such a close-knit community, and I know that we all worked hard to get to this point. So, you know, congratulations to everybody.
You know how I know you went to Georgia Tech? is because you took the initiative and time to decorate your background with your congratulations grad. That is awesome. That looks so cool. And we really are proud of you and what you've accomplished here at Tech.
Thank you.
All right, that is Kiera Patterson, a master's degree to go with her ISYE degree as an undergraduate, a double jacket. The only one we'll be featuring, but we know that there are many more of you out there, and we want to congratulate you. You can also be a part of what we're doing all day today, jumping in on the social feeds with the hashtag GT20, hashtag Swarm Strength, and hashtag Ramblin' On. We'll feature those on our tag board at commencement.godtech.edu. We've got even more congratulations coming your way. These are some of our more very important people on campus. We call it the VIP congratulations. Enjoy. Or it's going to happen in a minute? Not yet. Okay. I'm back. Remember, this is a live broadcast, and we are doing our best to try and work in a lot of elements here today. And so far, we've been able to talk to every student that we've had scheduled, and we will continue to talk to those students. Why don't we now see if we can move ahead and talk to the College of Sciences. And see, let's see. Oh, yep, here we go. I guessed right. We got the cue. This is the College of Sciences Dean in her second semester. She started last fall. She's done a fantastic job. Dean Susan Lozier. Let's get her congratulatory message for the College of Sciences.
Congratulations to the 2020 College of Sciences graduates. I'm Susan Lozier, Dean of the College, and I'm delighted to congratulate you on this occasion, although I'm sure we all wish these congratulations could be in person rather than virtual. The only lines of poetry I know by heart are those that I heard at my own graduation now decades ago, and I'd like to share them with you today. They're from Walt Whitman's Song of the Open Road. Afoot and light-hearted, I take to the open road, healthy, free, the world before me. Henceforth, I ask not good fortune, for I myself am good fortune. Now, I know today you may not feel as though there's such an open road in front of you, and you may not feel that you have an abundance of good fortune. But I assure you, in time, we will all together get past this pandemic, and in short order, that road will open up in front of you. And your background, your hard work, and your degree here at Georgia Tech will give you that abundance of good fortune, and you'll be on your way. And we'll be cheering you from the sidelines. So for now, let me offer my congratulations, wish you good luck, ask you to stay in touch, and please take care.
That was Dean Susan Lozier of the College of Sciences, and we do have someone who's graduating out of that College of Sciences, but she's not alone. In fact, we have a pair of folks, twins from Alpharetta, Georgia, Maria and Liz Krakowski. Let's see if we can go ahead and grab them in. Just a moment here. Still wait. There we go. Oh, and dressed up. Stephen, are they muted?
Yeah, we're
Here
muted.
we go. Here we go. There we go. We got
Okay.
sound. You're gonna want sound on for you two because you're, I think, our highest energy pair. And we'll start off here with Maria, since you're the neuroscience major, but
Yes.
twins going to school at Georgia Tech. You guys are also not making your first appearance on Georgia Tech's social media and communications because we saw you way back before you even started school on the summer tour when you ran out to an event at Alpharetta. And I know you said you went back and watched that video, and you're looking for this one to be a little cleaner, huh?
Yeah, that was really cringy. That was really. We were obviously incredibly excited to go to Georgia Tech, and we're incredibly excited to be lucky to get a degree. We're just a little more contained, but obviously the same. Fun. Yeah, the energy's still there. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had you on at the summer tour, and now you're graduating together. What was it like for the pair of you to go to school together at Georgia Tech? You see twins a lot of times on campus. You guys aren't the only set of twins, but you seem like you both had similar but also separate pathways at times.
Right. Well, first, I love when we see twins on tech. It's really fun. We're both tour guides. So every time I give a tour, I always say how we're twins and we came to the same school to stay together, but also pursue different paths. We both intentionally and originally came for the College of Science. So it's kind of fitting because I used to be a biochemistry major. We both chose Georgia Tech because not only school, we're apart or different, we stay together.
And yeah, it's really great having a best friend on campus. We've been best friends since the womb, so that doesn't end anywhere.
No, and a lot of people think it's strange, I guess, that we came to the same college. But if you think about the in-state deal that Georgia Tech offers and just the holistic education that it is, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, even though our sister went to UGA, she's watching. Hey, Anna.
Yeah.
But we're so happy.
That's a $5 fine for mentioning UGA on this feed.
I'll pay it.
But let's start off with something that you two did together, and that was study abroad. Where did you go, and what was that experience like, sharing a chance to study abroad, which so many of our students have done, but you get to do it as sisters and twins?
It was really incredible. We went on a College of Science study abroad called the Best Lyon program. It was in Lyon, France. This was back when Liz was a biochem major. She's now public policy, but she did pursue a minor that kind of took in all that fun organic chemistry classes. So it was really incredible that we got to experience being abroad together, and pursuing international education we think is so awesome, because you really do gain a really incredible cultural understanding. And we're just also really lucky that we had family support and friend support to do it. And we also got to know some really incredible people through the program. And I actually was able to come back 2 years later and become a TA for the program. So I was a TA for organic chemistry and synthesis lab. And that was really cool, being on the other side of things. It was definitely challenging sometimes, but it was a really incredible experience. So I'm glad I got to experience it twice.
Liz, you are transitioned over now to a public policy major. That's what you're getting your degree in. And we just saw there the two people that you got to meet during your time here on campus. And I know that was a big impression for you to be able to meet those two icons.
Oh, yes, definitely. And those two icons are, I think who you're speaking about is Jimmy Carter and Congressman John Lewis. Yes, so fortunate. We are both part of SCPC. She's has a greater presence at SCPC, or the Student Center Programs Council. When I was on it, we were able to bring John Lewis to speak, and he came pro bono because he just wanted to share his message. I was able to meet him there. And then again, when I worked at the Carter Center, and through that experience got to meet President Carter, I met John Lewis again. And John Lewis is just a civil rights icon, but also my personal inspiration in just the fight for change. Because my favorite quote, he says, "If not us, then who? If not now, then when?" I am blanking right now, but yeah, I've gotten the chance to meet both of them. So it's been
all right. So what's on the horizon for you, Liz? What are you going to plan on doing after this online graduation is over? You've fulfilled your obligation to us jumping online, and where do you go next from there?
Right, the horizon is still open. I'm still interviewing. With COVID-19, everything's been kind of slow, but I do intend to stay in Atlanta with her.
We can't separate you two. You're
for now.
Not
Eventually,
yet,
we'll see where life takes us, but for now we're together.
And then, Maria, let's talk a little bit about what you've done here at Tech, a neuroscience major, and I know that you've been working on stroke recovery. Can you give me some detail there?
Yeah, so I'm part of a stroke rehabilitation lab over at Emory University. So it's really cool. It's kind of within that BME Emory Tech relationship. So because of that really established connection between Emory and Tech BME, I was able to research at Emory and still get Georgia Tech credit. So I investigate different modulating of motor learning and motor memory in stroke survivors. And I pursued the research option within the undergraduate research opportunities office, and I got to complete my thesis. And I just submitted my undergraduate thesis last night, so it's official.
Lost a little bit of feed in the audio there from you. Let's see if we can check back in. There we are. We've got you again. Of course, we're dealing with all sorts of different internet speeds, but we are really, really happy that you were able to join us today as a pair. We get to see some of that vibrant energy, and we can't wait to see what you guys do out in the world as Georgia Tech graduates. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yes.
All
Go
right.
Jackets!
In unison.
That
in
wasn't
unison,
planned.
on cue.
That wasn't
Do you two finish each other's sentences? I mean, I think so. All right, let's go ahead and move on to, it's still there. Do you finish? No. All right, we're good. Okay, let's move on. And we're going to go talk to To Vaughn. To Vaughn is joining us live, and we'll see if we can get To in here. There he is, and this is a man that is coming after my job, because one of the things that you have done so well on campus is help people with public speaking, and we may need some of that after being on the air for a little over an hour here today. But Toe, thank you for jumping on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, you're a chemical engineering major, but we're going to talk about that in a moment, because one of the things that you have done to help out students here on campus is work on public speaking, speaking in front of crowds. Tell me a little bit about how you helped out some of your fellow Yellow Jackets.
Sure. So on campus, there's the Public Speaking Club, a great organization. Go and you just practice. We teach some of the lessons that you need to know about public speaking, whether that's how you change your voice, how to have cadence in your speaking, but also what do you physically do with your body when you're in front of a crowd. And these sorts of things I think are really important for any Yellow Jacket out there, whether that's an engineer, whether that's someone in the Ivan Allen College or the College of Business. Everyone's going to use some kind of verbal communication in their lives. And so at the Public Speaking Club, we're all about helping them out.
You also were a part of the Com Lab. You were one of the communication consultants there, and people love you. You won an award. Can you let's brag on yourself a little bit, Joe.
I was very, very fortunate to receive the Pewter Award of the Year, and I'm very fortunate. Let me just say, all the people who work there, everyone there, amazing. The peer consultants are amazing. The professional consultants are amazing. The center assistants are amazing, and I think the Com Lab is something special because it's more than just sort of a center to go into and get help, right? Obviously, we provide a professional service that we really, really want everyone to use, but there's also just a very warm feeling that comes out of that, and I think, as someone who's been there for over 4 or 5 semesters, I've lost track at this point, I can say that it's such a warm, inviting place, and to receive that award was a huge honor, and I couldn't be more thankful for it.
All right, so aside from all those extracurricular things that you were doing, you also had your coursework in chemical engineering. That's not the super easy major, not that there are any easy majors here at Georgia Tech, but what was your work in chemical engineering, and what do you plan on doing with it?
So I went through the chemical engineering curriculum. I was also fortunate enough to have a few professional experiences. I did an internship with Savannah River Nuclear Solutions. I also did a full 3-semester co-op rotation with Kraton Corporation in their chemical segment, where they take the byproducts of paper mills and refine them. And I also had one final internship at Westrock in a paper facility making container board that goes into your cardboard boxes, as well as fluff pulp, which goes into a lot of sort of other materials. And after graduation, I will be moving down to Riceboro, Georgia, just outside of Savannah, where I'll be working for S&F Holding Company. They're a polymer manufacturer, and they make some of the chemicals that go into municipal water purification.
So you're doing that. You're public speaking. You're helping in the Com Lab, but you're also involved in a part of the population on campus that we haven't seen a whole lot of interaction with as far as commencement goes, and that is the Vietnamese Student Association. But I know you guys on campus, you are out there a lot trying to just spread some knowledge about Vietnamese culture. Tell me a little bit about what you were able to do during your time on campus to create some awareness.
That's right. So the Vietnamese Student Association, very casual organization for anyone who has interest or wants to learn more about Vietnamese culture. We have a few large events. So our major event in the fall is Moon Festival. And we also have one major event in the spring semester that unfortunately got canceled, and that's Charity Dinner. So these sort of large-scale events, we're trying to spread Vietnamese culture and awareness, but also just from a club-to-club basis, very casual. They usually meet, depending on the semester, once every month or 2 times a month. And you just go there, you learn a little bit about Vietnamese culture, whether that's some of the card games we play, whether that's the amazing Vietnamese food that we have, not biased at all. You can learn anything you want in a very fun, casual environment.
Well, our technical director today, Stephen Norris, loves some Vietnamese food. So maybe we'll have to have you email him some of your recipes. Because he's always trying to cook something crazy. I think that's his whole quarantine, has been cooking up something. At least that's what his Instagram says. And me, I'm like a grilled cheese guy, but always down to eat someone else's cooking for Vietnamese food. Toe, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And good luck in your career down in South Georgia.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right, that is Toe Vaughn, a chemical engineering graduate, great public speaker. And we also know that we've never heard this next guest speak publicly, because for a second time today, we're going to try and get a live camera feed of George P. Burdell. He has agreed to a live interview. This is a historic moment for Georgia Tech. Let's see if we can bring in Georgia P. Are you there? George, do we lose him again? Lost him? Well, it looks like we have lost the feed from George's 1980s VHS video camera. And I promise we're going to get him on. We will make sure that George P. Burdell is a part of today's broadcast. Guarantee you that. Well, it is time now to move on to our oldest and our largest school and college here at Georgia Tech, and that is the College of Engineering. With over 1,800 graduates this spring, the College of Engineering, and we'll hear from the dean, Steve McLaughlin. Let's hold on for just a second. I've been told we're ready. We ready? Audio? All right. Well, let's get a few congratulations rolling through. Remember that you can still be a part of today's broadcast by sending in your Facebook comments on our Facebook stream, www.facebook.com/Georgia Tech. And you can send in the hashtags GT20, GT20 again, and Rambling On and Swarm Strength. We're getting towards the end of this broadcast, guys. It is getting close. All right, here we go with Steve McLaughlin's message from the College of Engineering.
Hi, everyone. I'm Steve McLaughlin, Dean of the College of Engineering. Congratulations. And for you engineers out there, today you are officially one hell of an engineer and one of more than 100,000 living alumni of the College of Engineering. For all students, we are so proud of everything that you've accomplished and everything you're going to do. And for parents, friends, and other loved ones that help the students get through, thank you so much for everything you've done. Congratulations again, and go Jackets!
All right, we're back. You may have gotten a sneak preview of something that's coming up here a little bit later. I want to say our thanks to Dean McLaughlin for that message. The College of Engineering, we're going to bring in some engineers to be. Start off with Alex Siriopoulos. See if we can get Alex on in here on our Facebook Live. There he is, dressed in his regalia. Alex, can you hear me? Not getting Alex to come through. We'll see if we can get him. Alex, are you there? No. Still working through some of this, so we appreciate you. Have a little bit of patience. All right, we're going to pull in Jenny Kennedy. So Jenny has been waiting on the line for a little bit. Jenny, can you hear me? Are you there?
But wait one sec. Yep, you can hear me, right?
All right, we got you, Jenny. Once again, I know you're a Georgia Tech grad because you've prepared your background to make sure that it is on brand.
Of course.
With that. And like so many of our students today, we have seen you all around campus over your time at Georgia Tech. And it's really just going to be sad to not see you on campus as much. But how are you feeling right now as you graduate from Georgia Tech? It's not the commencement that you all thought we were going to have a few months ago, but you're still going to get your diploma from Georgia Tech. And I hope you're having a good day.
Yeah, I honestly, like everybody else, I did feel a little bit of grief when I found out that a lot of my typical plans and traditions wouldn't be fulfilled. But a lot of new traditions are starting, and I've found a lot of community in the people that I lean on for support and my family. So honestly, I know that there will be different things coming up in the fall, and I'm planning on staying in Atlanta. So hopefully I get to be a part of that.
Okay, Jenny, rather than me trying to go through all this, can you kind of lay out some of the many things that you've been a part of, the many organizations that you've been a part of here at your time at Georgia Tech?
No problem. So I started out as a emerging leader, so in the freshman leadership organization, and I became the vice president of Pride Alliance at the end of my freshman year. I became the president of Pride Alliance after the events of fall 2017, when Scout Schultz, who uses they, them pronouns, lost their life on campus. And that's where a lot of my involvements after the fact came about. I got involved in mental health. I got involved in LGBTQIA advocacy. I got involved with diversity the ambassadors as well. And that's where I did a lot of teachings on different ways to be inclusive in organizations and classrooms. I also got involved in GT1000 as a team leader for the diversity section. And I was also the vice president of student life for SGA, and I just finished out my term.
Jenny, what are some of the things that you're going to miss most about being on Tech's campus every day? I mean, you were so entrenched in many different communities, many pockets of Georgia Tech. What are you going to miss the most?
That's a hard question, to be honest. I think that I'm going to miss going into offices and centers every day and seeing friendly faces that I could say hi to. The LGBTQIA Resource Center was truly a home for me. The director, Dr. Abby Parsons, and Camilla Brewer have been so caring for me, and all the other people that I look to for help and assistance, ComLab as well. Just like Toe, I was the lead peer consultant as well. I left that off. But I just miss the spaces that I was in because I truly found community in so many different organizations.
If you had a piece of advice for those that are coming behind you, we don't exactly know what it's going to be like over the summer and going into the fall right now, but for those coming behind you, is there anything you'd like to say from your standpoint as a graduate in 2020?
Yes, of course. I would certainly say to stay curious and never take no for an answer. Oftentimes there are things that are difficult to accomplish on campus, and sometimes the odds seem against you, but there's always somebody who's looking out for you and wants to help, whether that's a faculty member or a student, a professor, anything like that. There are so many people who are willing to help you accomplish the things that you want to dream for. So I would certainly say, keep your head up. There are definitely people who are willing to help.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for joining us, Jenny. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that is graduate Jenny Kennedy, one of many students that we've featured here on interviews, but there are thousands and thousands of more. We want to hear from you on our Facebook feed, but also through all of our social medias. Let's bring in Alex Siriopoulos. Alex, do we have you this time?
Hello. Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we've got you. You look fantastic. You look regal in your regalia.
Thank you so much. I'm very proud to be wearing the two colors.
All right, Alex, we can tell from your accent that you're not from the United States, but where are you calling in from today?
So, well, right now I'm actually in La Grange, so an hour outside Atlanta. I actually stayed in Atlanta when the quarantine started and everything.
You have an interesting story at Georgia Tech because your parents went to Georgia Tech, and I don't they know somebody like kind of on the top level right now? I think they didn't they go to school about the same time as Dr. Cabrera, so around that time?
So that's the thing. So when I found out that we were getting a new president who graduated roughly the same time as my parents, I asked my father, I said, hey, do you know this individual? And so I can tell you my parents were not good friends with him. So they haven't kept contact, for example, but they did graduate the same year. And they have met, they just weren't friends.
Oh, well, meeting's still pretty cool. So tell us a little bit about your journey. I know that you have faced some adversity and had some medical issues at Georgia Tech. Walk us through that timeline and what steps needed to be taken for you to get to where you are today.
Okay, so it's a long story, but I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. So I started Georgia Tech in 2014. That was 6 years ago. Now, 3 years ago, on my junior year, I was in my apartment one night, and I woke up. That's what I remember. Actually, I don't remember. I woke up in the hospital. I was informed that I had just woken up from coma. Apparently, I was in my apartment, and I had some complications. I went into coma. They took me to the hospital. They did brain surgery on me. When I woke up paralyzed. I couldn't talk. I couldn't feel anything. I was in a very terrible condition. Now, thank God, I've come a long way from there. As you can see, I'm doing a lot better. I can talk. Well, I would stand up and start walking around, but that might be a little bit. And the thing is, I spent the last 3 years in intense rehabilitation, first in the hospital and then in therapy centers. I went back to Miami, where my parents currently reside, and I continued therapy for 3 years before I was finally decided that, you know, it's about time to come back to Georgia Tech and finish my degree. It's something honestly, it's the only thing. Well, it's not the only thing, but it's the main thing that kept me going through nights of looking at my life and thinking, you know, what's gonna be of me now? You know, how can I live well, for lack of a better word, a normal life? Because I used to break dance. I was incredibly athletic, and going from something like that to well, honestly, waking up in a bed and not being able to move was a huge turn of events. It was incredibly difficult for me to master the courage to just to pull through and just to try and get better. But thank God I have a wonderful family. I have a wonderful group of friends. My beautiful girlfriend was through me through the entire ordeal. And after 3 years of a very hazardous adventure, let's put it that way, I am incredibly excited to finally graduate.
Well, we are very, very proud of you, and your story, I think, is inspiring. You're an ISYE graduate. What's next for you? What are your plans for after graduation?
So actually, I speak 4 languages, and I got an email from the Department of Modern Languages at Georgia Tech, and they told me that I should look into pursuing the Masters of Science for Global Media and Culture. And I thought it was an excellent opportunity, so I applied and I got accepted, and they also gave me a fellowship and a grant. So I will be coming back to Georgia Tech in the fall.
All right.
I'm looking forward to seeing you around campus again.
Yeah, we're going to see you around campus. Thank you. Really, really appreciate that. And congratulations on graduating and overcoming what you've had to overcome. It's truly inspiring.
And if I may say just one last thing, because my grandmother is watching from Colombia and she doesn't speak a word of English. Abuela, te quiero mucho. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Have a wonderful, well, I guess, continuation.
Thank you very much, Alex. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. Sorry, we had to cut off his goodbye there, but Alex, just a fantastic story. Let's go ahead and bring in a couple more students. Well, we just have a few more interviews left. Up next is Toral Kadakia, and we're going to reset just a little bit. There's Toral.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you for waiting. I know we're a little bit longer than we told you we were going to be, but we just had so many fascinating student stories.
Absolutely.
And, we want to let everybody have their celebration day, and now we've gotten to you, Toral. You're not too far away, right? You're a Peachtree Ridge High School graduate.
Yeah.
And you're graduating in industrial engineering. And just tell us a little bit about what your experience has been like these final few weeks.
It's been difficult. Oh, sorry. It's been difficult, to say the least. Online classes have been harder to adjust to. I'm also in senior capstone, which is our senior design. So doing that virtually has definitely been hard, but it's been a rewarding experience. Definitely learned a lot, learned how to adapt, which is, a really good thing to know how to do. And honestly, spending time with my parents at home has been really great, and getting a chance to catch up with people through those virtual like Zoom parties has been really fun. So definitely a good experience, to say the least.
Well, in your time at Georgia Tech, you've been like president of everything. So let's talk about one of the things that you were president of, which is Women in Engineering SWE. Just tell us about your experience and some of the things that you've done to try and spread engineering out to other women and prospective students at Georgia Tech and even K through 12.
Yeah, it's been an amazing experience. I joined SWE my freshman year, and just this past year I stepped up as president. It has been an incredible experience. I've learned so much, both as a leader and just being a member of the organization. I've grown so much. I've gained mentors, and the members have become a family to me. I said my heartfelt goodbye just the other day, so it's definitely been hard to say goodbye to all of them. these past 4 years have been incredible. I've done so many great things with the organization. SWE has an amazing impact on campus and the Atlanta area. We do outreach and we try to encourage women K through 12 across campus everywhere we can to pursue a degree in STEM and to get involved in STEM. So it's been really amazing to be a part of such an impactful organization and to have so many amazing people around me all the time.
And you were also president of Honor Council, and some of the things that you dealt with Honor Council were hot topics going into finals week through this virtual learning, distance learning scenario.
Yeah, it's definitely been a interesting experience and an adjustment, but my experience working with the Honor Advisory Council has definitely been rewarding. I am a big believer in academic integrity, so it's an awesome experience to be able to work with students across campus and definitely promote the honor code. With the online distance learning, I know it's definitely been an adjustment, but we're really grateful for students across campus to continue to respect the honor code and continue to pursue it as they go into their final season.
And you also worked with a student group that we've been able to celebrate at different times here on campus. And it started a few years ago. In fact, we had our first graduating class just last year. And that is the Excel student program, which I think just is one of the best things that Georgia Tech does. And you were involved with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been, it was really great. I think this was back my sophomore year. I had a really unique opportunity to be able to tutor a student in the Excel program. For those who don't really know, Excel is a student group on campus that helps special needs and disability students. And I was one of the fortunate few who was able to tutor a student in our health class. Which of why it may seem an unconventional class to be able to tutor in. It was fun just to sit down, joke around with the student, getting a chance to teach them as well as kind of help them adjust to life, hopefully outside of Georgia Tech, by teaching them how to maintain a great physical exercising routine as well as a great diet. So it was definitely a really cool experience. Also just meeting the student and getting to know them was so fun.
So how are you feeling right now? I mean, your undergraduate experience is over. What's it like? You've had a big smile on your face. I mean, it seems like you're in a good spot.
I don't know. It feels great to be able to say that I'm a Georgia Tech grad. So definitely a good feeling, but it is bittersweet. I do wish I was on campus graduating with my roommates and my best friends and being able to walk across the stage. But I do hope that hopefully when we do have the in-person graduation, my roommates and my friends and I will all be able to come back and celebrate them, get our proper graduation pictures in our regalia, and take all of our beautiful pictures in front of Tech Tower and across campus.
Toral, congratulations. Thanks so much for joining in, for hanging in as we pushed you a little bit later on in the show. We appreciate it. That is Toral Kadakia. We got one more student to talk to as we're getting well over an hour and a half into today's festivities, but we're going to go on as long as it takes. We're going to bring in Khalil Newell, who's a business major, and you look like a business major, all suited up like that, looking very fresh. And you're a man after my own heart, Khalil, because you're a sports fanatic, and I know that was a big part of some of the things you did here on campus.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a student manager for the men's basketball team for a long time. And you're seeing that picture from our win against Northwestern in 2017. And that was one of my favorite moments. You can tell just the emotion on my face. I loved every moment of my time with Georgia Tech basketball.
Tell me about what it's like to travel with the team, to be day in, day out. You're not on the court playing those games, but you're still working that insane schedule and trying to keep up your course load.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting time. Very busy, very busy. I mean, we were always on go, whether it was going to the court for a pregame practice or, just getting their gear and stuff together. It was definitely an interesting time, but I loved every minute of it, especially going to some of those bigger places like Duke and Syracuse, even the ACC tournament in Charlotte. I mean, I couldn't have imagined a better experience. I actually couldn't have imagined that experience at all. So I'm very glad for that time.
And being located with Georgia Tech in Atlanta, you had the opportunity to jump on and work with a sports franchise here that, a lot of other colleges, they may not have that opportunity, but being situated in Atlanta, who did you get to tag along with from time to time?
Yeah, it actually started in high school, but I actually used to work with the Atlanta Falcons. I used to work in their retail department. And I was there at all of their games from the Georgia Dome to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Now I was there for the first Atlanta United game. I was there for the NFC Championship game. back in 2016 going into the Super Bowl. So yeah, I was there for all the big moments, and what a great time that was.
I think we saw in your collage, the photo collage there, that you, like many of the students we've talked to today, had the opportunity. In fact, over half the students at Georgia Tech leading up to this year got to go abroad during their times here at Georgia Tech. You were able to do that, and you kind of took a unique route. You didn't do France, GT Lorraine, or one of those other ones, GT Oxford. Where did you go in your study abroad?
Right. I went to Central Europe with the Leadership for Social Good program. That is led by the ILE department in Scheller. And I just had probably the best time. I consider it the best experience I've ever had, honestly. I mean, I was able to go to 3 countries. I went to Prague. I know it's not a country, but I went to Prague, Vienna, and Budapest. And during this time, we actually got to work with nonprofits because the whole program was centered around social entrepreneurship. So I got a chance to work with a organization and pretty much just promoting this idea of social entrepreneurship. And it was an amazing and rewarding experience. And I'm hoping I get to do something.
Well, Khalil, I think I might have lost you there for a little bit, but we really do appreciate you taking the time to join us. What a fantastic story, Khalil Newell. And he is our final student interview. Once again, we are live on commencement.godtech.edu, on YouTube /Georgia Tech, and of course on Facebook.com /Georgia Tech. We have had so many wonderful comments rolling in. In fact, I'm overwhelmed by the amount of comments. We've been able to share some of those with you live on the screen. And once this broadcast is over and we're nearing the end, we're not done yet with today's festivities. You can rewatch any part of this live broadcast if you're just joining us now. It will be archived in just a little bit at commencement.godtech.edu. There's all sorts of swag there for you to use digitally to try and celebrate your graduation time. We know it's atypical. It's not what you planned, but hopefully some of those tools will help you celebrate today with your loved ones, friends, family, and others. And then also, don't forget that you can enjoy some of those experiences like a 360-degree virtual walk across the stage. We filmed last year in 360 degrees, our 2019 fall graduation, and you can walk across the stage with one of those graduates who was a social media intern at the time, Dalton Touchberry. So make sure that you get that opportunity. We're going to pause just real quick to reset, and we're going to come back and we're going to have President Cabrera live. So hold on just a minute and we'll be right back with you. Okay, I'm back. Magic trick, right? Go away, reveal. And one of the reasons why we had to do that is because we're working so many things into this broadcast that we have to reset every time to time so the stream will look as clear and as beautiful as all those wonderful students have on their graduation day. All right, so let's go ahead and bring in the president of Georgia Tech. We already heard from him earlier with the speech, it was a wonderful speech, but first of all, Dr. Cabrera, thank you for joining us. And I just want to know how you're feeling today, because this is your second graduation day. We didn't get to have the commencement. You've been able to watch all these students tell their stories. You know, what's been going through your head on this day?
Well, let me first of all thank you, Bryce and Stephen and the entire Institute Communications team. You guys have been amazing, creative. The way you've put this together, I think it just helped everybody really get the sense and the feeling of a true celebration. It's been fabulous. And I also want to thank all the students and the staff and the faculty over the last 2 weeks, keeping all the traditions alive. And Georgia Tech is not a community that is just going to let the circumstances dictate what we do. And it's been just amazing to see the ingenuity and creativity of seeing all these traditions come to life, even if in a new way. So kudos to you and the whole team. You guys have been just fantastic, guys.
All right, I want Stephen to flip the camera back over to me so I can kind of brush off my shoulder. Really appreciate that compliment. It has been a total team effort. A lot of people behind the scenes not just me up here on the camera. So we really appreciate that, Dr. Cabrera. And hopefully we've delivered something that the Georgia Tech community can be proud of and can watch over and over again as their virtual online celebration day continues. But, you know, for you, I thought you had a fantastic message in your speech, but what else, you know, has been on your mind as you've gone through this day? And, you know, we're not where we want to be, but we know that down the road, we will get there.
Well, you know, I could spend the whole day watching your interviews with students. I just love to see the diversity, the variety of stories, and not just of where we come from, but also to see how all these graduates are going to go all over the world. And I know most of you are getting these days lots of messages of the sort of, you know, I'm sorry that you're graduating now. What a terrible time to graduate. What a difficult time to graduate. And I beg to disagree. Yes, it will create some short-term challenges, and yes, it's going to be an inconvenient time to graduate. And yet, I have this deep sense of optimism in the fact that there is not a better time for a young person with talent, with commitment, to graduate from Georgia Tech. The world needs people like all the hundreds and hundreds of talented people who are coming out of Georgia Tech today. We need people with the knowledge, with the competence, with the leadership, with the motivation, with the ingenuity, with the creativity to solve problems and to help us all live better lives. So don't take any of that, you know, sorry that you're graduating this time. This is the absolute best time to graduate from Georgia Tech.
Dr. Cabrera, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any final thoughts on today that you would like to address to the Georgia Tech community and those graduates today?
Go Jackets.
Perfect. Perfect. Go Jackets indeed. That is Dr. Angel Cabrera, who joined us live. Thank you so much to him for all the time and effort that he's put in as we have gotten this virtual online celebration to you. And once again, want to remind you, as you can see scrolling along the screen, to head over to commencement.godtech.edu. We are now going to wrap up our broadcast here and thank each and every one of you for being a part of it. We're going to do that with a live look, the Georgia Tech whistle, as we celebrate 2020 class here at Georgia Tech as they go out into the world and uphold the white and gold. We're looking for you to not just change this world, but solve many of the issues and problems that we have foreseen today. The Georgia Tech class of 2020, congratulations. Let's hear that whistle blow in just a few minutes.